Alright, sorry about that. I really don't know what happened, but Modesty going in for an attack on DDA's third. Tau Cross is a map where the thirds are rather wide open, so the Hydralisk is going to have a pretty easy time attacking it. Meanwhile, huge pack of Corsairs are going to do a lot of damage in Modesty's natural. Not many Hydralisks left to defend against that. The Nexus is cancelled, and the Pylon does go down. But there's still a lot of Corsairs here going to be able to continue to supply block Modesty. He's already 13 supply blocked, and then another 8 on top of that. But the Hydralisks are going after DDA, going after DDA's natural. There were not a lot of cannons here, so this is going to be pretty easy for the Hydralisks to try to bust. Now, there's one High Templar did not get a very good storm off, and now is going to be taken out. Hydralisk moving forward. And DDA is in a lot of trouble right now. He had a really good attack going, but it just kind of melted away to the Hydralisks. Now Lurker's morphing in. The cannons are going to go down very quickly. There just are not enough Zealots to tank damage. And more Hydralisks being rallied in. The Corsairs are doing a good job, but they need to find the newest pack of Overlords to kill, which are over here. If he can hit those, that'd be great. Lurker's still morphing in, making which is going to make the Zealots really hard to use. This gateway's unpowered, and it's going to go down. Very nice storm though, taking out a lot of the Hydralisks, but he's still going to lose the Nexus. He lost all the cannons. Modesty doing a good job. If you noticed, all the eggs he's morphing are injured Hydralisks, and after the Lurker morphs, it regains all of its health. So that's pretty cool by him. But now with these Lurkers, the +1 speed loss that DDA was relying on just are not going to be able to do anything, and the Lurkers are slowly going to move forward until now they're in with the gateways and attack everything as it spawns. 2 High Templars spawn. He does manage to pull them back. He does manage to pull them back before they're taken out, but the Hydralisks are just eating through those Dragoons. Everything in the main is dead, bringing the Overlords to detect for possible DTs. And here come the Corsairs back. Is he going for any DTs? Because DTs might be a good option at this point. No, not making any of those. High Templar almost has enough energy, not quite. He did lose all the Overlords, and now has enough energy for a storm. Is going to have to be a really good one. That did some damage, but not enough. I don't think it's possible to do enough damage. And the main's going down. These Corsairs did finally find the Overlord pack, but too little, too late. DDA GG's, and Modesty takes game 1. Okay. Short intermission while I try to get the chat working, because for me it is just consistently loading and not actually bringing me a chat. Do I need to restart Firefox to make that work? Let me try restarting Firefox. Sorry about this. Okay. Will the chat work now? not looking good. Alright. I'll give it some time, try it again later. So, game number 2, DDA versus Modesty. DDA is the purple Protoss at the top position. And Modesty is still the teal Zerg at the bottom position. The map is going to be ground zero in close positions. So, not really known as a Zerg map, but it's a pretty standard map overall. This map just has a lot of expansions on it. Whoa. I do not know what that is. Seriously, what the hell is that? I turned off the sound so you guys can't hear it. And now it's gone for me. Man, this is the issue I have with restarting Firefox. Because because I restart Firefox and then sounds start playing, and I have no fucking clue where the sounds are coming from. It's probably an ad on some page I had open. Alright. DDA gonna go for a gateway build. Alright. Interesting. I'm never been a big fan of gateway builds. They should work if executed properly. Unfortunately, Modesty is going to scout it first, so he knows that he's going to need to build some extra Zerglings or an earlier Sunken to defend against it. Does manage to get the hatchery down. A bit of a mistake from DDA to not block that longer. And it's going to matter in the sense that with that hatchery finishing a little bit sooner, it not only gives him access to larva faster, which he'll need to make the Zerglings, but it also gets the creep down there faster, so he has a better shot of throwing down Sunkens, if that's the way he wants to defend. Anyway, first zealot's out, second gateway has finished, and the Overlord sees it. So what is Modesty's response going to be? He did go for a 12 hatch, which is a little bit of a build order loss because that spawning pool still has a long way to go, and the zealot's going to get there before it finishes. DDA continuing to rally in the zealots. Spawning pool now finally finishes. Zerglings on the way. He has enough money for a third hatchery, which is what he would want to be throwing down right now. But he can't. And he's throwing down a proxy pylon right next to the hatchery. Is he going to try to proxy a shield battery? He doesn't have a forge, so he can't build cannons here. It can't be a manor pylon to block creep colonies. That doesn't make sense. Well, first zealot gonna get surrounded. Nice micro by Modesty to pick that one off. But the zealots are just going to keep coming. Now focusing down the sunken colony. He only needs to get it down to 100 health before it spawns, and it will die instantly. Or be one hit, at least. Still do not understand the purpose of that pylon. Anyway, Modesty getting up to some pretty large Zergling numbers, but DDA already has 4 zealots, so Modesty really can't mess with that. Now throwing down the third hatchery, gonna place it in close. Starts to make a little bit more of a wall, which is nice. Another pylon going down for DDA as he is supply blocked now. I'm not sure how many zealots he's going to wait for before moving in, but it's giving Modesty to get down a second sunken. And an evolution chamber, mostly used, mostly going to be there to try to block the Sunken's trying to make a little bit better of a SimCity than what he has. And the Zealots are now moving in, trying to get into good positions where they can't be surrounded by the Zerglings. And it looks like all the Zerglings are going to fall, but not before the other Sunken colony finishes. So the Zealots will be cleaned up. One Sunken colony just goes down, but all the Zealots have died except for one. And Modesty's going to be able to build another Sunken colony here before DDA can do anything about it. DDA now trying to expand behind this, so he's going to start to tamper back on the aggression relatively soon, but I don't think Modesty's lost too much. He lost a good number of Zerglings, and he was forced to not take a third, but man, I don't think these two gates work out very well most of the time. Hydralisk end down. This game, Modesty going to skip the lair and the spire for now. Just go straight for them Hydralisks. So, without throwing down those early cannons here, it makes DDA a lot more susceptible to a Hydra bust, because he won't want to invest that much money into cannon defense if he doesn't have to. Alright. But he's going to continue to make Zealots. He is going to have a huge number of Zealots for whenever he does decide to get the speed and the +1. This is going to be a very scary army, but that's still a bit of a ways away. Man, I really hope this is still working, because I don't have a chat. I don't know. That is an awesome wall of Zealots. It's like, just doesn't matter what your wall is. If you have that many Zealots, you can make it tight. Good stuff. Modesty's really not going to be able to do anything against this. There's clearly too many Zealots. Get the message. Okay, cool. I have confirmation that the stream has fixed itself since I have killed it before. I really don't know how I killed it. And I know that sounds silly, because I started off by saying I'm now just going to unplug wires, and then it suddenly died, and I'm confused by that. But really, I was only I was just randomly unplugging wires because everything's a USB cord, but my internet's not a USB cord, so I don't know what unplugged where XSplit threw a fit and crashed. It's like I unplugged the mic. Unplugged a hard drive. Okay, the only thing I had plugged back there was a mouse, a keyboard, a hard drive, and a mouse, keyboard, hard drive, and mic. It clearly wasn't the hard drive, not the keyboard or the mouse. Was it that I unplugged the mic, and that just threw XSplit in a fit? I didn't know unplugging my mic could kill it. Anyway, Modesty with a good number of Hydralisks out now. DDA still with slow lots, so microing them is going to be really hard. And he's just going to pull back now. Does he have a Citadel up at least? He does have a Citadel speed. Only a quarter of the way done, though. Now, DDA forced to throw down a lot of cannons here. And they are going to be just in time, it looks like. Maybe not. Oh no, they're just going to be too late. The Hydralisks moving in now. They aren't taking enough damage as they work through all the smaller units. Because he's only taking damage for 1 or 2 cannons at a time, the Hydralisks really aren't falling. And oh no. DDA is going to get Hydra busted. It's going to get Hydra busted because he 2-gated. Anyway, Hydralisk now moving up into the main. They can attack the tech, they can attack the mineral line, they can just camp the gateways and kill anything that comes out of them. Ooh, there's a DT though. This is going to help slow Overlord very is lumbering in. And that might actually save DDA momentarily, but the damage has been done. He has so little left. He's lost so many probes. He lost the natural. He's lost already losing gateways. And now the Overlord finally arrived, and he didn't clean up all of the Hydralisks. So we got 11 of them. But now DDA sends literally every unit he has to attack, and it's not going to be enough. Modesty takes game 2. The way that Kid Canada phrased his message, it would appear that Twitch TV is just the chat's down for everyone and not just for me. So, kinda weird. I wonder if it's down for other channels. Oh, not important now. Moving into game number 3 of DDA versus Modesty. Oh, right, on match point. I like me some match point. Anyway, DDA is the purple Protoss once again in the bottom left. Modesty is the yellow Zerg at the top right. Change that color. And I can get a drink of water. God, I love water. Like, I have an unnatural love for water. And it all comes from being a wrestler. Because I was a wrestler in high school. And if you don't know how wrestling works, there are weight classes. You have to weigh a certain amount to be allowed to wrestle. And if you don't weigh that amount, you get disqualified. So, you need to normally cut weight to be a certain weight class. And the easiest way to cut weight is to not drink water. Because if you think about it, water weighs like 7 pounds a gallon. So a bottle of water, that's like a pound that you just added to your body. So, for a good part of high school, my deepest fantasies involved a bathtub filled with water and a straw. And ice cubes, because it had to be cold. Cold water is a lot better than room temperature water. But you know what? It still would have been a pretty good fantasy if it was without the ice cubes. I actually did that once. Not with a bathtub, but I got like a huge Tupperware container and just filled it up. Like a huge 5-gallon bowl, and filled it up and then just drank it with a straw. It was good. That was the day I quit wrestling. It didn't cause me to quit wrestling. I didn't phrase that quite correctly. The day I quit wrestling was the day I did that. Not I did that and then decided that I couldn't wrestle anymore. Anyway, DDA is going to be annoying. Throws down the Manor Pylon, but it's a pretty late Manor Pylon. The Lings are already out, so the Lings should be able to kill it off. Hopefully that was cancelled. I don't think it was, though. It's hard to tell. Anyway, DDA should be fine. He's got the gateway down. This isn't tight, but it's still good enough, even without that one being tight. Although Modesty does... He doesn't have that many links. just the normal 6. Sending a drone down to the corner to plant the 3rd. And it looks like Modesty is going to be able to play a normal game once again without DDA's 2-gate shenanigans. DDA's pulled 3 probes, and that's kind of weird because not only do these not block completely because there's a gap here, but this is a gap. So I'm not sure why it was necessary to pull 3 probes. I mean, it helps, but not that much if you're not going to seal it off completely. Meanwhile, DDA keeping that probe alive. Doing a good job. He saw the layer go down, so he knows that Hydra bust very unlikely at this point. Cybercore done for Modesty. Now, is DDA going to go for Core first, or excuse me, Citadel first again, or is he going to go Stargate? It's a Stargate. Okay. So DDA did a slightly off the beat. DDA did a slightly offbeat build game 1. Resulted in a lot of +1 Zealots and a lot of +1 Corsairs. Didn't quite work out. Went for a 2-gate game 2. Didn't quite work out. This game, playing it more standard. There's the normally timed Citadel. And Modesty has his Spire. So, well, the game we are familiar with. Modesty's pulling back with that Overlord very early. Wants to try to get it away and not be killed off by the Corsair. We will see if he is successful in that. DDA moving out with 3 Zealots. Wants to put the aggression on a little bit earlier than normal. Modesty still only has 6 lings, and he lost 1 of them. There are 2 more. That's not going to be enough to deal with 3 Zealots, and Modesty's not going to have a Sim City here. So DDA has an opportunity to do a little bit of damage. Ooh, but splitting up the Zealots is quite dangerous, especially with this pack of Zerglings here. That's not exactly enough to deal with 3 Zealots, but it's enough to deal with only 2, especially when they're spread out like that. And Modesty gets the perfect surround. DDA with a bit of a miss micro there. Not only splitting off of that 1 Zealot, but not keeping those 2 next to each other. That's rather unfortunate for him. He does have 1 Zealot in with the drones. Gonna pick up 1 kill at least before the Zerglings come back and deal with him. Where'd he go? There he is. He's hiding behind the minerals. So, Corsair now out. Did not find an Overlord to kill. Went directly to Scout. And Scourge already out for Modesty. So we'll see if the Scourge can intercept the Corsair. Most likely not. You know what? On the Scourge, hopefully they don't die like right now, but the picture of their attack is teeth. And like with everything else's attack, like the probes, their attack is a laser beam. And the Zerglings, the attack is the claws. Zealot's attack is a sword. But with the Scourge, it would imply that the Scourge bite the Corsair. And that's what does 110 damage. And I don't think that's very indicative of what their attack actually is. Then again, 2 spikes like that kind of really doesn't look like spit either. But I think teeth are more misleading. Anyway, next Zealot attack coming out. This time is going to be 8+1 speed lots. That's a much more substantial attack. Modesty does have Mutalisks out there, though, so he can start to pick some of these off. Good SimCity, but by him at the natural. I don't think he's going to be able. I don't think DDA is going to be able to do anything there. But he is going to go for it anyway. Possibly a run by. Yes, a run by, going to completely bypass the natural, going to try to pick up some kills in the main. And this could actually work out pretty well for him. Those Mutalisks do not do very much damage. They will eventually kill off the Zealots, but the Zealots might have enough time to get some good kills here. All the Mutalisks have pulled back. There's a Zergling in on the mix. They're focusing down the lair. Are they going to be able to get down the lair? No, they changed targets at the last moment. Oh. They did about 600 damage to the Spire. Didn't quite get it. And they left about 800 health on the hatchery. And if you factor in the time that the Zealots weren't attacking, moving from the lair to the Spire, I think that he could have killed the lair. Anyway, a really botched attack for DDA, because now no damage is done at all. He didn't even kill any Lings. He just severely damaged the Spire, severely damaged the lair. If he comes back at some point later in the game, he might be able to do something, but we're about to be beyond the point where run-bys are viable. By the time DDA gets up enough speed lots, and gets up that many speed lots again, it'll be at a point where run-bys are not viable. He is well defended in his main and his natural against the Mutalisk harass. So Modesty is going to have a hard time finding targets to hit. He might try to pick off some of the fringe buildings. That might work. He does have enough Scourge that the Corsairs really do need to think twice about engaging. And oh no, Modesty! Modesty! Oh, he didn't spread out his Mutalisks at all. And then he held position and got stormed. It might not have been a held position, but they all stood dead still and took the entire effect of that storm. Oh, Modesty. That's a huge blow, actually. That's huge. Modesty was ahead by a good amount and was going to be able to play a standard Zerg game and eventually crush the Protoss with a Hydra Lurker Ling army. But now, without those Mutalisks, things aren't looking anywhere near as good as they were. Oh man. Modesty getting Overlord speed now. This attack from DDA is actually going to be really scary. There's a good number of High Templars there, I believe 4. Plus a DT plus Corsairs to try to chase away some Overlords. Now, Modesty's going to attack at a good angle. Part of DDA's army's on the low ground, but that's a very nice storm. Picks off 4 Hydralisk, damages a lot of other ones. And going to make some lurkers, cancel some of them so that he can spread them out more. Now, a lot of these Dragoons are going to fire at the lurker eggs. Those are going to tank shots pretty well, but will they tank enough shots? The eggs are now going down. The Dragoons are not in the fight at all, but it's not going to matter. Those storms were so good. Ooh. Modesty is almost certainly going to lose this base. Well, he's going to lose one of these bases, whichever one DDA actually decides to attack. Pierce is going to go down to the Gas Expo. 2 creep colonies going down. Neither of them is going to be in time. A huge wave of Zerglings coming out. And actually, all the High Templar are leading the attack. But no, Storm's going down on the drone line, but misses most of them. Not gonna get a huge number of drones with these storms, but still doing some damage. A lot of Overlords going down for Modesty. And this base, I don't think it's going to be possible for Modesty to try to save it. Brought in some reinforcements, are dying along the way. There's enough goons that can completely control the ramp. Apparently the Lurker can actually reach that Dragoon. That's very long range. So, it looks like Modesty is in fact going to be able to save this, just barely. He almost loses that hatchery, but he did lose a lot of drones, a lot of units, a lot of defensive structures in the process. Modesty catching up a little bit in supply is now 80 to 100 instead of 70 to 110. How many kills do these have? Ooh. There's a 7 kill Corsair. I wonder if that's... Is that 7 Overlord kills? Or is that... Or did that Corsair get the final shot on the pack of Mutalisks instead of the Storm? I think that's 7 Overlord kills. DDA expanding to this top location, going to be on even bases with the Zerg. Not the position Zerg wants to be in. Apparently only one Corsair left, and it is the heroic Corsair with 7 kills. Looks like DDA is starting to run pretty low in both his main and his natural. Modesty, on the other hand, still has a good ways to go. Well, what are the upgrades looking like for DDA? He's got his +2 attack and +3 attack is on the way. So pretty good with the upgrades. Modesty, with the upgrades you would expect for the Zerg at the time. 1-1 for the Hydralisks. Should be getting 1 for the Zerglings soon. No, not quite yet. So, Hive Tech up for Modesty. What is he going to go for? He actually doesn't have any money right now, so we don't know. Has he repopulated that bottom base yet? Yes, he has. He did get the Crackling upgrade for the Zerglings, so he really should be getting +1 attack soon. He has a good number of Zerglings out. And here come the Zerglings to attack DDA's third. There are some cannons here, but not a whole lot. Templar coming in, that Storm, getting 5 of them. That's pretty good. And the Zealots and the Dragoons are enough to prevent this base from going down. Close. Meanwhile, Modesty now expanding to the base very close to the DDA's main, which is the normal final expansion for a player to take on match point. And it looks like DDA also wants to take his 5th. He put the pylon up here, but he doesn't realize that there's a Zergling that's going to kill the probe. Anyway, Protoss with a very scary army. No Archons, interestingly, though. Just a very nice composition of Dragoon, Zealots, and High Templar. If he's able to use all those High Templar, that's... It's starting to get to the number where it's almost too hard to get them all to cast storms, but it's at a point where you don't need them all to cast storms. You just continuously have storms for every engagement rather than having exactly enough for the first engagement. Anyway, Storm going down, very nice. Oh, these Lurkers, they're so clumped! Oh no, Modesty did not spread out his Lurkers and is going to cost him. Oh man, the Storms. The Storms! Storming everything. Absolutely everything. Modesty running his units into the meat grinder, and they are just getting churned out. But now, with all the zealots dead, it's just up to dragoons to deal with cracklings. Not the best look for DDA, and he's actually going to lose a good number of dragoons to cracklings before finally deciding to pull out. He does now have a single Archon. A 133 supply compared to 98, so similar supply differences. Almost exclusively because of those almost control group of goons he picked up. Anyway, good number of cracklings coming up to take out this expansion. These cannons are not going to finish in time, so it's just up to the 3, and that's not going to be enough. DDA, who is slowly but surely working his way to take that expansion, not going to be able to. Defiler mound down, consume on the way. Are there any defilers actually out? Does not appear so. There's one morphing in. DDA continuing with his very nice upgrades. Has 3-0, but about to be 3-1-1. Modesty, on the other hand, has kind of been a little bit laxed in his upgrades. Just, he got one more armor and one more attack, but it's still pretty low compared to the Protosses. Now starting to get +2 attack. He definitely should be working on getting the 3-3 cracklings. It seems to be the army he's gearing for, just, a lot of crackling crackling ultra lurker. Crackling defiler lurker. That's the composition I wanted to say. Ooh. DDA with the Arbiter and getting stasis. Stasis isn't as effective in this matchup as it is versus Terran, because there aren't big clumps of high priority units like siege tanks that Zerg has. Unless he was going Ultralisk, which he's not. Sometimes Arbiters can be good in this matchup, especially on this map because of recall. The main is very, very recallable. Just drop control group of goons, control group of zealots there, and they can take out all of the tech. It really hurts the Zerg. I know that Kid Canada is particularly a fan of Arbiters on this map. Ooh. DDA making a mistake and storming all of his observers. He does have enough storm to deal with the lurkers, but that's... oh no, he's gonna have to pull back. He doesn't have enough storm. That's a mistake. That was a battle he should have easily won. But another observer coming in, almost storms that one too, but pulls it back just in time. And now it's just up to a huge wave of dragoons to try to crush this. For Modesty, a few more cracklings coming in. That Archon is doing a lot of damage. The Archon finally goes down, and the dragoons do not do a lot of damage to those cracklings. Another storm. How many storms does he have left? Oh, only one. So DDA is going to be forced to pull back. Meanwhile, drop in DDA's base takes out a couple of gateways. Yeah, those are gateways. No, they're not. They're pylons. Takes out a couple of pylons. Doesn't do too much damage beyond that. DDA is starting to get pretty close to being mined out. The middle only has very little left, and this base does not have very much either. He really needs to try to take this expansion, otherwise he will be out of money. He's not floating a huge bank. Meanwhile, Modesty not having the same level of economic problems. His bases are all looking... well, actually, all of his bases are starting to get pretty low, except for this one. But still a good amount left overall. This base is going to go down for Modesty pretty easily. He had no defenses here. Meanwhile, Hydralisk coming across the map. They're going to be able to shut down this expansion if they attack now, with a lot of reinforcements coming up from behind. Looks like he's going to wait for everybody to come here. There's not a lot that DDA has here to try to defend it. He does have some Templar, so he can get down some Storms, but this army is way too much. What's in the shuttle? Oh, loses a Reaver and a High Templar immediately. That is unfortunate timing for him. Stasis going down on some of the units. Those swarms are going to make it very hard for the Dragoons to do a lot of damage, though. DDA with a very Dragoon-heavy army. Looks like the Nexus will be going down, and a lot of the probes as well. Probably not going to... DDA is probably not going to re-expand here because there's so few minerals left. Lots of new cracklings streaming in. They now do have the +3 armor upgrade, so the Zealots do not do as much damage as they once did, but with that Archon support, it's just going to continue to rack up the kills. And it looks like the wave of units is not going to be enough to push them back. Storm going down on the Hydralisks. And it looks like DDA is going to pull back with the last few High Templar, so Modesty loses almost everything in that engagement, but is able to beat back DDA's army and take out that expansion. Is there enough minerals here to worth 200-ish? Okay, so 200, 400, 700, 800, 900. Yeah. So like 1,000 minerals left there. Modesty continuing to funnel in units. DDA's pushed far enough back that he has no chance of taking this expo right now. And while this is looking rather impenetrable, Modesty really doesn't need to bother with it. As long as he keeps DDA from securing either the 12 o'clock expansion or the 6 o'clock expansion, he has this game wrapped up. The main is now officially gone for Modesty. The natural is very close to being gone. Just one patch left. The mineral only is very close to being gone. The third is very close to being gone. So Modesty is now just down to those two bases. And if DDA can take one of them, he's in a pretty good position himself. Just one mining base versus one mining base of the Zerg. But if he can't take either one, there's no way he can come back in this. He still does have great upgrades. 3-2-1. Modesty still hasn't quite gotten the +3 for the attack. Nope, not quite enough to kill the Zealot. Is DDA still getting upgrades? No. I really doubt he is. He really just doesn't have the money for it right now. I think that DDA should be focusing a lot on Archon production. Just mine lots and lots of gas. Because he's getting to the point where he's going to run out of money, but he'll never run out of gas. Anyway, Reaver Harass going to attack this base of Modesties. Those are some very clumped drones. And they're not moving. They're not moving. Oh no! Reaver already up to 8 kills, 7 of them drone kills, not 8 drone kills, and 10 drone kills. Can get, no, I couldn't quite get one more shot off. He ran out of scarabs. So some okay damage by DDA. This is going to be a very difficult battle for DDA to take, to work his way up that high ground with so many lurkers there. He does have a good number of High Templars, though, and he has had some very nice storms so far this game, so if he continues those storms, he might have a chance, but instead he's going to go and focus on this top expansion. I do like that idea. He really doesn't need to take this high ground. It doesn't have any significance, but he really desperately needs to stop Modesty from mining from there and take it for himself. Plague going down, only hitting a couple of Dragoons. Meanwhile, the issue with taking that base is that Modesty's going to be able to counterattack, and he's going to just move in a whole mess of Lings. But with no Defiler support, they're going to go down pretty easily. Now, DDA having a little bit of trouble getting his units through the choke, but slowly but surely making its way. Storm going down, hitting a lot of the Lings as they pop. And Storm, again, Looks like Modesty's still going to be able to keep this front safe ever so slightly. But more and more Lings are just coming through this Nidus Canal to attack. And I don't think that DDA has enough storms to deal with it. 2 Defilers coming in. Unfortunately, no Lings to help out. Continuing to storm down, but here come the Lurkers, and that's really what's going to kill off this army. And DDA does not have the economy to remake it. He's going to try to pull it out. Loses some stuff, but not everything. Oh, but now he is officially completely mined out. He can take these 16 minerals, I guess. That's not going to help him. I mean, he should probably be long-distance mining from here. Just to get every last thing possible. And that might be what he's going for right now. But he's pretty much done. Because Modesty still has income. Well, where's the income? Okay. Yeah, he still has income at these bases. They are trying to get pretty low themselves, but Modesty has enough that he's just going to be able to win. Yeah, he's going to long distance mine these. That's a huge Lurkerling army. With this base almost completely saturated, though, Modesty isn't going to run out for a while. Huge wave of Lurkerling. Good storms going down. Very good storms going down for DDA. But it's not going to be enough. DDA leaves the game. And Modesty, on his final attempt, qualifies for ISL 3. 3-0 over DDA. Very nice. So, I download the next set of replays. Is chat working? Of course chat's not working. Awesome. Okay. Oh, whoops. Darn it. I made a boo-boo. Okay. So, legs 5 and 7 now. So, looking back here, we're gonna go into leg 7, which is the top right of the bracket. Gag, Justice, Predator, and Elena. And there is one buy in this group, and it is Predator. So we have an all-Terran group. Gag, Justice, and Elena. Right. This is... oh, that's the wrong thing. This is the Altitude Nation... this is the Altitude ISL. Wow. Reverting back there. This is the Altitude ISL, sponsored by Altitude the Game by Nimley Games. It's free to download. It's a lot of fun to play. I've actually been playing it a lot recently. I like playing soccer on it. It's fun. Alright. So, leg 7, Gag versus Justice. A TVT on Bloody Ridge. So, we have in the bottom left ISL 3 Gag as the red Terran. And in the top position, we have, how do we capitalize it? We have ISL 3, excuse me, Justice as the teal Terran. Okay. So, TVT on Bloody Ridge. It's kind of an interesting map for TVT. There weren't a lot of them when this map was in play, because this isn't a very good Terran map. But this map is, on one hand, is really good for air units. So it would seem to indicate a Wraith-centered game. But on the other hand, it's the ridges in the middle of the map are really, really good for siege tank positionings. So not only are Wraiths really strong, but siege tanks are also really strong on this map. We shall see. Justice is going to be the first to scout, sending out that early SCV. And Gag is going to build the barracks there. This is a tight block off, so Justice will not be able to get into the base. He can kind of harass the SCV if it happens to be building on the right side, but little more than that. Unfortunate for Justice, sending out that early SCV and then getting nothing out of it. Oh, beyond that, both players going for the earlier gas. And looks like an SCV duel. It's pretty close. Are they going to know Justice SCV fired just slightly faster? Or it might be that it had that extra hit earlier on. But Justice will win the duel. Picks up an SCV and going to return home, because there's not really much else he can do. Okay. Both players should be throwing down their factory now. There we go. And it was pretty obvious that both players would be throwing down a factory. The question is, what is going to come after that factory? Will it be the faster machine shop? Will it be the second factory? Will it be the will it be the starport? Will it be 2 starports? A lot of branches for Terran to diverge off to at this point. Apparently that Marine is stuck there. That's a very tight spot for that Marine to fit into. And he must be getting really dizzy now. Alright, there we go. He's out. It's like, it reminds me of like, well, I don't know if this happens in your country, people not from America, but in America, we have a little tradition called piñatas, which is totally American tradition. Completely ignore all the Spanish and Mexican influence of that. That's an American tradition, where at children's birthday parties they hit paper mache animals filled with candy, and then candy falls out. But before you do that, you put a blindfold on them, and then you spin them around, and then you kind of push them towards the direction, and they kind of just stumble around swinging a stick. And hopefully they hit it, and if they hit it hard enough, candy explodes out of it. And that's what that Marine reminded me of, because it was just being spun around and 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 around, and then the barracks lifted it, and it just went. So it was like being spun around to try to aim a machine gun at an SCV. It's like high stakes piñata. Instead of sticks and candy, it's machine guns and SCV limbs. Anyway, Gag went for the 2-fact and is getting the armory for the Goliaths. Justice went for starport, and a very simple starport, without getting the second starport for more rates and without getting the control tower, either for dropships or for cloak follow-up. Just going to try to annoy Gag, if anything. But here comes Gag's first attack. He does have more units. Justice forced to pull a couple of SCVs. And it should be enough to win this battle. Unfortunately, the Vulture didn't quite pull back far enough to lay the mines properly. So, all the mines will be taken out. And, oh! Alright, there's a mine hit. And now, actually... Oh! I was gonna say, now actually, there isn't enough stuff to one-shot mines with complete precision. So, loses all of his SCVs, keeps the tanks alive though, and that is by far the most important part. Meanwhile, Justice pulling back with a Wraith, 0 kills on it, and 2 Goliath shots, so pretty clear how that story went. You know what? Okay, if you listen, you can hear the Wraith hit the barracks, right? Just listen. But then when you come over here, you can hear 2 shots. Oh, now it's gonna land. So that goes it. That kills it. But it's weird how the deploying of the missile and the hitting of the missile are the same sound when you're here, but when you're away, you cannot hear the deploying of the missile. I do not know how that logic works. Anyway, Wraiths are able to snipe the barracks. Minor victory. And that SCV should probably be killed. There we go. I'm now actually really curious whether other countries have piñatas. I don't even know if that is a Spanish thing. Because I know it's a Mexican thing. But am I allowed to say it's a Spanish thing if it's a Mexican thing? I don't know. Like, quinceañeras are a Mexican thing and a Spanish thing, but are piñatas. And then even if they are a Spanish thing, does that apply to the rest of Europe? Does France have piñatas, or Portugal, or even the farther away ones like Russia or Poland? I don't know, man. I don't know. And I don't have a chat to ask about their knowledge of piñatas. Oh, curses. Now I will never know. Oh, I'm gonna reset that score. Anyway, still pretty even game overall. Neither player has been able to get too much damage off. Just as Wraiths didn't do didn't do too much either, and pretty even supplies. Just as ahead by 5. Well, 4 now. Although 4 Wraith, there are 4 supply in taken into those Wraiths is not a very huge advantage at all. It's not as if one of them has a lot more factories either. There's good enough Goliaths out for Gag that the Wraiths are just never going to be able to do anything, because as soon as they fly close like that, they are going to die like that. But a lot of Gag's supply is tied up into Goliaths, and the Goliaths are not going to do a lot versus this nice siege tank line. So Gag might actually have a little bit of trouble here, just based on the fact that he has too many Goliaths and not enough siege tanks. He only has 1 machine shop compared to Justice's 2. And he's able to float the barracks over and attack the refinery. Siege tanks, abusing the fact that they have too much range. And the Goliaths should be able to attack. Do they not have range yet? No, they don't have range yet. Why do you not have Goliath range? I don't know why he doesn't have Goliath range. There we go, Gatling Goliath range. So, Justice gets to set up a very nice forward position, and it's going to be a position that's very hard for Gag to break. Still, ooh. I was going to say still only on 1 machine shop, but he has transitioned into Wraith production. So that might help with dealing with some of these siege tanks. Now, what does Justice have to respond? He's bringing in a second Wraith of his own. Now, it's a 2-on-2 Wraith battle, both of which have one Wraith that is at 20 health, and he's able to snipe the one low health one. Very nice. So, that's going to keep his tanks alive for now. Neither one of those died. But a second Wraith out for Gag. And here we go again. Oh, man, we're getting very desperate in these race battles. Justice pulling SCVs to repair the Wraiths. One of these has damage, so the 2 full health Wraiths should be able to beat the 1 not full health Wraith. And the barracks is flying back in to give vision, but it might... I was going to say it might be... it might take enough damage, yeah, to get into red, but the SCV should be able to heal it. And it certainly won't die. But it does need to come back a little bit so that the SCV can heal it. There we go. Ooh, Gag actually is going all out with the Wraiths, getting the control tower with Cloak and getting 3 starports. So, Gag's going to have a really, really strong Air Force soon. And already we're starting to see it. This turret going up, that's going to help out a lot, but doesn't quite cover all the tanks, certainly not the ones up here. Going to need some more, but oh, I think this is all unbuildable. And Gag is unsieging. Is he going to plan on moving in? Yes, he is. He's going to find the sweet spot where he can start hitting tanks and do a lot of damage. Justice's contain is slowly starting to break. And unfortunately, it was a contain that didn't cut off Gag from the 3rd. So it really hasn't inhibited his economics this game. As you can see, both of them are only on 3 bases. Justice has researched Cloak of his own, but he's only on 1 starport, so he's not going to be able to keep up in that battle. He does have an armory, so he could go Valks. If you were watching Pro League yesterday, Valks are very popular in PvP, or in TVT, to counter other Valks. Why can't... Okay. I couldn't figure out why that turret could not see the Wraith, but it was because the turret actually can't see up the cliff. Anyway, looks like Gag's slowly creeping forward, just picking off 1 tank at a time. And that's... I thought that the turret can see cloak stuff. If something else gave the turret vision, then the turret could detect it. I didn't know that it still wouldn't be able to see. Huh. Anyway. Justice, who has really not reinforced his army, has been massing up a lot of tanks back here. And is now going to be able to come down and reaffirm his map control. Although he finally has lost all of his forward tanks. Meanwhile, lots of random turrets across the map. And Gag still producing rates off of those, at least one of those 3 starports. He has a good number of them over here. In here. Ooh, but Gag's army's out of position and now has to deal with this huge tank force. They're not going to go for the 3rd. They're just going to go directly for the kill, attacking the natural. They're going to siege up in a great position, cutting Gag off from the rest of the army. That's the problem with circular dynamic maps. Your army can get out of position very easily in a TVT. Now, there are not that many Wraiths for Justice, but no, it's still going to be enough to push back Gag. And now Gag has to somehow figure out a way to break this wall of tanks that are bearing down on his natural. The command center lifts is already flaming, and now the Wraiths are going to come in and finish it off. So Gag loses his expansion. He should probably attack the Wraiths. But no, doesn't have enough. I don't think the siege tanks actually hit anything anymore. They could hit the comp site if they could see it. Is he really just going to lose all of his tanks? Wraiths are coming back. Well, it gets one of them. I guess he really is just going to lose all of his Wraiths. Or all of his tanks. 2 Wraiths. SAVs forgetting that there are still siege tanks alive out here. Both players starting to get a little bit low on the money. In that their mains are almost gone. The naturals and the thirds still have a good saturation though. Justice is still working with a supply lead despite losing excuse me, despite losing all of those siege tanks, and is going to start working his way down. Excuse me, these were the ridges I was talking about that are quite good for trying to for holding with siege tanks. It's going to be impossible for Justice to come across here. He's going to have to find another way around on this map. Is he working on building a dropship army? Yes, he is. 3 dropships out with a 4th on the way. Both players really should be thinking about taking a 4th base now. Justice is working on his. Gag hasn't quite gotten that far. Oh, it looks like he might have been trying to take one here. He had a little red dot, but I'm not sure if it was a command center. And, ooh. Gag going in for the snipe with the Wraiths takes out all of Justice's dropships and still manages to not lose all the Wraiths, which is going to slow down any aggression that Justice wanted to get out. Slick move there. And these 3 siege tanks are actually going to get a huge, or 5 siege tanks are going to get a huge number of kills because Justice did not notice them as he was moving his units down. Meanwhile, Wraiths on top still going to still attacking the SCVs. The dropship should be picked off by the Wraiths. And yep, it is. All right. That's a coincidence. Both of them with very similar health. Not quite the same. Anyway. Justice seems to be trying to take an expansion in the middle of the map. He doesn't have quite that much map control. So it's going to be lifted for now. Probably killed off once Gag gets some anti-air units over there instead of just tanks. Meanwhile, the assault continues on the 3rd. These siege tanks are in just the perfect position to hit all of Justice's units as they come to try to break it. And then the Wraith's doing good damage on top. Finally goes down, though. And now are the siege tanks going to be taken out? 1, 2 taken out, a 3rd taken out. Still a couple left, though, on this high ground. Gag expanding with a 5th base here. He already has his 4th up. So he's finally, for like the first time this entire game, going to have the better economy of the 2. Justice still with a small supply lead. The effects of this base being taken out kind of kicking in. Upgrades. 1-0 for Gag. 1-0 for Justice. Surprising that neither of them have their +2. That's such an important upgrade in this matchup. I don't see a science facility for Justice, so he's incapable of getting his. Gag, also incapable of getting his. Justice trying to fly the command center across the map from here all the way up, but hitting a patched Goliath. Are the Goliaths going to be enough? Third of the way down? Halfway down? No, not enough. He does not bring the Goliaths to try to finish that off. So the command center will be able to float all the way over here. And Justice, he really wanted to rely on the dropships to, whoops, to control a lot of, whoa. Well, I take back what I said about Justice not having a, actually I didn't miss the science facility, he just didn't have it before. But he now has a physics lab, so he's gonna go battle cruisers. But he has no starports. There's just the single starport. And it is not making battle cruisers. Underutilized physics lab so far. Anyway, what I was trying to say was Justice wanted to use these dropships to orchestrate a lot of his attacks, but because Gag has been constantly taking them out, he's it's really inhibited what Justice has been able to do. He just can't do anything except sit there. I don't think Gag's gonna find the sweet spot. Wraiths have pretty short range. Anyway, Gag with now half the map populated. Justice scans the bottom location and wants to try to drop there. That's a pretty robust composition. Excuse me. That's 5 tanks, 4 Goliaths. Certainly going to be enough to take out the SCVs. Is he going to be able to get the command center as well? Doesn't quite get all the SCVs. Nope, not going to be able to get the command center. And why are you flying those? I have no idea why he's flying those dropships over there. There was only one full and it only had 3 Goliaths in it. So those all died. Kind of weird. Anyway, Justice running low on his 3rd. So has his 4th as his only long-term base at the moment. Can't quite take either of these corner expansions. It looks like Gag, after losing the bottom right corner, going to go for the top left one. Is Gag still doesn't have a science facility? It would appear that there's a science facility. Okay. Gag now does have a science facility, but still no +2. And Justice is now finally starting to build the starports and getting the control towers. So he is going to switch into battle cruiser production. That is his late game plan. But he's going to be doing it with his opponent having more of the map. And that can be, it's going to be kind of risky for him. Trying to defend corner expansions like this while still putting on pressure with the battle cruisers. Anyway, even supplies, 171 each. Did Justice ever get +2? Okay, Justice finally got +2. So his units are a lot better off. Meanwhile, Gag, a few minerals left in the natural, a few minerals left in the 3rd, and he has this expansion still with a good amount. And it looks like both players are building command centers here to try to lift down to this corner expansion. Gag also has this one up and running for the time being. We'll see how long he can hold that. Yamato gun researching. I believe that is ship armor and not vehicle armor. Is the other armor getting vehicle weapons? This one's getting ship weapons, not vehicle weapons. Ooh, and Gag's actually going to take the center expansion as well. Interesting. That is not going to be able to float down there. Pretty easily dispatched of by the Wraiths. And Gag looks like he's starting to muster forward with his troops. It's a huge pack of siege tanks, but not a lot of Goliaths to defend it. He does have enough Wraiths for now. Scan going down, though. He's attacking over the pack of Goliaths. I don't think this is a good idea from Gag to use all of his Wraiths like this. He does manage to get off to kill one battlecruiser, but that's not going to slow down Justice very long. How many starports is he producing off of? 4 for the moment. And there is the last mineral being mined from that base. Hiding the Goliath underneath the barracks. Kind of cute, but that was the only anti-air here. So these battlecruisers are going to be able to pick up a lot of siege tank kills. Cloaked Wraiths now coming in. But there are enough battlecruisers there that he could take them out. Scans going down. Should be able to attack them. There aren't that many. Yes, he is able. He was able to kill off all the Wraiths, but not able to see him anymore. Now able to see him. He's lost one battlecruiser. He lost one battlecruiser in that engagement. There's a second one, and if it was attacking that battlecruiser, it could be a third. But no, the battlecruisers still remain, and are going to be able to pick off even more tanks, and that's what they need to do. Push the tanks back, force them to give up that position. Now this is a very vulnerable base to the battlecruisers, because the battlecruisers would like to be as far to the center of the map as possible, so that they can get to somewhere else instead of being isolated to one side. So this is a nice juicy target, especially with that many tanks there. And the one Goliath once again going down. Gag has nowhere near enough Goliaths to deal with these battlecruisers. Cloaked Wraiths going in. These actually might be enough Cloaked Wraiths this time around. The battlecruisers were already pretty injured. Battlecruisers are 1-1. The Wraiths have no upgrades, but that's not going to make a difference in this fight. And now it is the Cloaked Wraiths' turn to try to take out some siege tanks. The disparity in economy starting to show, where Justice is slowly starting to fall behind in the supply, despite the fact that he hasn't been losing that much. Once again, going to lose a command center. He has managed to sneak one down here, though, and Gag didn't realize it yet. Gag could easily take that out if he knew, but he's not sending one down in that direction. And that command center's gone. More battle cruisers, but that's enough Wraiths that the battle cruisers aren't going to be able to. No, that is enough battle cruisers to take out the Wraiths. And once again, Gag is going to be left without anti-air, and a whole mess of tanks are going to have to eat battle cruiser shots. Cloaked Wraiths going in, but he isn't scanning. There we go. Scan going down. He's going to be able to shoot at the Wraiths. These Wraiths actually don't do as much damage as you would think. 20 damage is a lot, or actually it's 22 now. But you have to remember it's a double shot, so armor gets applied twice, and armor is already up to 4. So it's 22 minus 8 is only 14 damage. It's still a pretty good attack, but not as amazing as you would originally think. Still working with such a low mineral count. But he is producing more battlecruisers. Now actually switching into Valkyrie production too. Battlecruisers plus Valkyries. He's had enough of a problem with the Wraiths. Although it's kind of odd considering that it's not a huge wave of Wraiths, which is what Valkyries would be good against. It's just small pockets of 6. I think I would have liked to see him make more battlecruisers. But is he continuing to get upgrades? Or is 1-1 enough? It would appear to only be 1-1. Looks like Gag realized that this expansion's down here now, is going to attack with with the siege tanks. SCVs being pulled to try to engage, but way too many siege tanks for that. It's going to cost Justice a lot of them, although he really doesn't need that many. The base was oversaturated as it was. And one siege tank left being repaired. Here come the battle cruisers now. Going to clean up that attack. Now the battle cruisers are stranded on this side of the map. Luckily, this is a map that favors air units, so they can get pretty safely. They don't have to worry about running into a big pack of Goliaths in the open. Command center. Uh-oh, Cloaked Wraiths. Cloaked Wraiths coming in, and here come the Valkyries. They're going to help in that fight. But is it going to be enough? They get focused down so quickly. I don't think it's going to be enough. He's going to need another scan. In fact, a battlecruiser was still attacking the command center. And no. Something, something, something. GG. I thought Justice was an American. Why is he talking in non-American? I don't know. Gag wins game 1. Now, let me refresh Twitch TV to see whether my chat's working now. Because I would like to have chat. That would make me happy. Yay! I have chat now! Alright, I can see what people are saying. Cool. Feeling good. Alright. So, game number 2, Gag versus Justice. Top left, we have Gag as the teal Terran. I think it looks a little bit better with black, but both of them pretty much work. And in the bottom right, we have Justice as the white Terran. Or yellow Terran. That's not white, that is a color called yellow. Yeah. Dude. I did cast your games without chat, Modesty. I would have liked to have chat, but alas, I did not. I don't know why Twitch TV wasn't working for me. Apparently you all had chat though, so it was just me and Twitch TV not getting along. So, TVT cross positions on ground 0. If ever there was a map to have a long game on, it would be this. I am already starting to get flashbacks of last night's epic TVT matchup between Mind and Kanata. That was an interesting matchup, man. It's weird how Terran metagame's going, where it can lead to Mass Valkyrie versus Mass Valkyrie. And it's not even like Valkyrie Wraith versus Valkyrie Wraith, it's just straight up Valkyries versus Valkyries. When normally Valkyries shouldn't mean anything, but the way the metagame's going, it's just like, that's a reasonable thing. It was quite the lulzy game. If you enjoy tragically humorous games, I recommend that one. Yeah, I spoil SPL. Why does it matter if I spoil SPL, man? It's like, Sale already did his cast. If you weren't gonna watch it live, and you weren't gonna watch Sale rebroadcast it, then you weren't gonna watch it at all. I mean, it's not like Pro League Finals, where like everybody's gonna watch it eventually. It was fucking Ace versus KT. I feel pretty confident saying that out of the 250 people watching, not a single person has not seen that game and is planning on seeing that game. Alright, so God damn it. Gag going for 1 Rax FE. Like it a lot, especially like it in cross positions. Justice getting a factory first. We'll see what he does off of it. He's already seen that his opponent is going for 1-Rax FE. He doesn't really have time to punish it, so probably just going to be Siege Expand on his part. Alright. And is it going to be the command center, or is he going to go for a second factory? Actually, he has too much gas. Well... Nah... no. Looks like a second scout. So, not going to be a command center. It's going to be either a factory or a starport again. This time it's going to be Justice with the faster starport, as opposed to Gag. Wait, no. Take that back. Justice had the faster starport last time. So he will be once again going for the faster starport. Gag, excuse me. Gag this time is going to go for faster starport as well. So some early Wraith on Wraith battles. Now, they could still go for 2-port each. They could go for Cloak, or they could just go 1-star port without an add-on, if you want to mostly go for a ground game. Although, out of those 3 options, given your opponent's going Wraiths, probably the worst is to just get the, is to just get 1-star port. Justice is going to move out for a bit of an early push here. He has an SCV as if it's going to make a bunker, and is coming with a tank and 2 Marines, and then a whole mess of SCVs. I'm not exactly sure how he plans on microing this. I think that the bunker with 4 Marines in is going to be enough. Is he researching siege? Does he have siege mode? Okay, Gag has seen a lot of SCVs here. He should suspect that something's up. I don't know how he wants to deal with this, though. Siege mode is done. Didn't quite siege far enough to see the bunker, unfortunately. Gag, how far away is Gag's siege mode? His siege mode's almost done. And once his siege mode finishes, I think that Gag's gonna be fine. Maybe not. Oh no! It took enough splash damage from attacking the bunker that it could not survive 3 shots. Now maybe this attack is going to work. He pulled enough SCVs just to repair the siege tank. He's also going to be able to repair his own Wraith, so he can stay pretty competitive in the air game. Meanwhile, Barracks being shot down. Alright. Well, Gag still only has the 1-star port. Justice still only has the 1-star port, but is adding a control tower. Could be for a late Cloak. Could also just be for dropships. He's in a good enough position that he might want to consider some kind of elevator. Could be a possibility. So, Justice is going to start setting up turrets here, making Gag's Wraiths pretty much useless in counterattacking. Gag should probably be setting up some turrets of his own, although he doesn't have an eBay yet. We'll see if he adds that on later. Now, is Justice going for Cloak? Yes, it is going to be for Cloak. Now, he definitely needs an eBay, because he does not have an academy. He doesn't have an academy, he doesn't have an eBay, and Cloak's almost done. But Gag getting very close to taking out the last Wraith. Only 1 Cloaked Wraith isn't going to be able to do a whole lot. Mass repair going down. The Wraith is going to come back, but the Wraith still has very little health. They repair so slowly. Is he still rallying more? No, he did get a dropship as well with the Cloak. So Cloak now finishing up, but he's not going to have a good number of wraiths for a while. What is he going to elevator in? This isn't a... No, this isn't a map where you can... Actually, is it a map where you can drop the cliff? Putting siege tanks up there would be quite nice. Cloak done for the wraith, so he will finally be able to push away these wraiths that have just been harassing the siege tanks. And actually can chase him as far back as he wants to, or go for mineral harass. I think he'd be better off attacking the wraiths, though. He's going to be able to get a lot more minerals worth of damage by attacking them instead. But he's focusing on the siege tank now. It can be repaired as fast as it's killed. He does have a lot of cloak time to work with. Gag, what's detection he's working on? Okay, he has the eBay under construction and is getting scan. Yes, this is a map where you can cliff here, and that's going to be a very difficult position for Gag to deal with. He's not pulling his SCVs back yet. Okay, he's now finally pulling his SCVs back. I don't think that this is buildable, so it will be susceptible to wraiths, but the tanks have done a good amount of damage so far. Are they in range? No, I don't think they're quite in range of the command center. Oh, they are in range of command center, but they're going to be killed before it can be taken out anyway. So, Justice still working on his wraith production. 45 compared to 68 food for Gag. Gag's been able to get up a much larger army in the meanwhile. Still unable to deal with this wraith. Apparently he doesn't have enough scan. Yeah, he's already used the one he had. And he put the barracks a little bit too close, or the bunker a little bit too close to the command center to be able to build that comsat. He needed to destroy it. So, final wraith going down for final wraith going down for Justice, and now Gag's going to be able to counterattack with a nice sizable tank count. Justice with 2 tanks of his own, probably going to be able to get out 1, maybe 2 more, but he's only just producing factories now. He's been on 1 this entire time. And this is a very, very scary push. He's going to have to rely a lot on these cloaked wraiths to do damage. Taking out 1, and now... manages to get those away. Very nice. He can rely on the fact that Gag does not have many scans to do a lot of damage. All the wraiths have gone down, so it's just down to the tanks, but the tanks can essentially A-move. There are only 2 tanks of Justice to have to contend with. There are going to be wraiths overhead, but they do so little damage that the tanks can do a lot of their own before taken out. And it looks like they're just going to set up a contain now. He does not have anti-air. He really does need it to be able to set up a contain. And what is he going to use for anti-air? Not to mention Justice should be bringing these wraiths to help. That would be very, very beneficial. Alright, he now does have a Goliath that is not shooting at the wraiths. There we go. And, ooh, losing the only SCV. If he had kept that SCV alive, he could start building turrets, which I really think would be very helpful for this attack. Instead of just relying on cloaked wraiths, they're going to be able to focus down the Goliath. No, they're not going to focus down the Goliath. The Goliath still is barely alive as the only form of anti-air. And the tanks are slowly going down, but they've gotten a lot of kills on their own and are now attacking the SCVs. And now the Goliath finally goes down, so it's just the 2 siege tanks left. More units being rallied in, though. A little bit too late. He's going to catch these. Yeah, he's going to catch these in the middle of the map. Justice finally realizes he had a couple of wraiths out there. And Gag, not willing to give up the contain, is now starting to construct turrets. He should be able to get them down with the Goliaths doing enough to distract. And nope, misses him. Wraiths trying to come back to help, but the Wraiths are just really not going to be able to do anything. There are too many turrets and Goliaths and Wraiths for Gag out, for Justice to really find a sweet spot to hit. Now there are 4 siege tanks here, but Gag's cloaked Wraiths are going to be able to be just as annoying as Justice's were. And I think Gag's going to be able to... He's certainly going to be able to set up the contain. The question is whether he's going to be able to push it all, or if he's just going to play for the later game. Justice with a hidden expansion down here that's going to be gone as soon as Gag realizes it. Might take him a while, though. Meanwhile, Gag taking a third, taking a fourth. So his economy is going to be great. It's now a 30 supply difference for Gag. And yeah. I'm just starting to set up another command center here so he can float it and hide it away. That's pretty risky play. He's still lucky enough that this one hasn't been discovered. More tanks being rallied in for Gag. This is looking way too strong. The only thing he doesn't have here is turrets. And I'd like to see him start to reconstruct some turrets, just so that the cloaked Wraiths can't do anything. But alright, there we go. Now setting up some turrets. Justice leading with the SCVs first. He's going to go for one final break. He needs to break out with this, and he's committing so much. If he isn't able to break it, then the game's over for him, and he's just not able to deal with the siege tanks. Most of the siege tanks left remaining. All the Wraiths still remaining. Justice still not talking in American. G. I assume that was GG. And Gag 2-0s it. Moving on to the finals. So, round of 16, Elena versus Gag. I'm excited, because I like Elena a lot. And when discussing this with Game was telling me, oh yeah, Predator's gonna completely roll Elena, because Predator's really good, and he always beat me when we practiced, and blah blah blah. But then Predator didn't show up, so Elena's in the finals. And Elena just needs to win a best of 5 to qualify. Yeah. So, top right, we have Gag as the teal Terran. Left position, we have Elena as the yellow Terran. Let's see it, man. Oh, reset the score. Reset the score. Elena is a very aggressive very aggressive player overall. But in TVT, likes to be aggressive with the Wraiths, aggressive with Vultures even. Should be good. Elena with a really early scout, an 8 scout before the supply depot goes down. And ooh, blast from the past, early 2011-ish, forward barracks play. The great debate of whether that counts as cheese or not cheese. I don't think that quite counts as cheese in my opinion, but there are certainly people who think it does. Anyway, Elena will be able to make a few Marines and kind of send them at the opponent, just try to poke them out, and then lift the barracks and fly it back, should it be necessary to do that. It is, though, a barracks before the first supply depot, so it's going to hamper the economy just a little bit, compared to Gag's, which is much later. And Elena's now sending an SCV in both directions, meaning that he's certainly going to find his opponent, but the fact he would know where his opponent is even if he didn't send two, which is leading me to believe that Elena wants to throw down a bunker. Alright, I said Elena's pretty aggressive. And Gag now sees the scouting SCV. Is Gag going to go in the right direction? Yes, it appears that Gag is in fact going in the right direction. What is Elena going to do? Is Elena going to throw down the bunker? Or is Elena just going to scout? Did Elena just want the SCV there to tank shots for the Marine? First two Marines are out. One Marine for Elena to shoot the scouting SCV, and it's going to push him away from the barracks. So Gag's going to move in and only discover that there's not a barracks in the middle of the map now. And know that something's up. 2 Marines for Elena compared to 2 for Gag. But Elena has 2 SCVs. Is Elena going to throw down the bunker? Or is it just going to be a couple SCVs? Ooh, nice micro with that SCV. Didn't even slow down to kill the Marine. And both players using SCVs in this fight. Both players lost a Marine, and no, Elena's Marines are going to fall first. Gag still has 1 left, although it's very low life. Probably not going to be able to. Yep. Oh, it does go down. SCV's able to pick it off. Now, with the first Vulture out, Elena's going to have a lot of trouble doing anything, because Vultures are very good versus Marines. But if it's not microed, well, if Elena doesn't attack, then never mind. Elena's pulling back now. Probably going to build 1 more Marine and then lift it and start to fly it back. Meanwhile, Elena's going to build Vultures of his own. So, see some early Vulture on Vulture aggression for this game. So, Gang moving in with 2 Vultures now. Should be enough to take out that pack of Marines, but here comes Elena's Vultures to even the odds. Doing some nice Vulture micro to continue to get hits. Not going to allow either of those Vultures to live. And now, all of a sudden, Gag does not have a lot of defenses in his base. There are a couple Marines at the front, and the tank will just spawn in time. But the Vultures can pretty easily navigate around the tank. Unless the tank blocks, I don't think it does. Nope, Vultures aren't going to try the run by. Another Vulture coming up. Is he getting mines? No. Machine shop still constructing now. What is the first upgrade he's going to get, though? I am curious to see. Meanwhile, it doesn't look like Gag has upgrades either, but he's going for siege tanks. Okay, there we go. Elena's going to use it for the siege tank first. Oops. Not paying attention there. We're going to lose a couple of Marines. First Wraith out for Gag. There you go. There it is. Might be able to do some damage. Elena does not have an armory, so can't build Goliath. Is going to come down to just Wraith versus Wraith. But Gag's Wraith should be able to do something until then. Sees the tank. And I don't think a Marine can quite beat a Wraith. It can get it down to 1/3 health, but not quite beat a Wraith. That siege tank should probably move away, so it doesn't keep getting attacked. Wraith's still on the way. Elena now has mines, so gonna mine out the front. Good. Always want to see the Terran player using their minds. And finally the Wraith comes out for Elena, so we'll be able to take out Gag's Wraith. Although Gag is going to be kind of sneaky with it, and pick up an SCV kill and then move back into the main. Is it... Ooh, it's not going to stop. It's just going to try to get out of there. Meanwhile, excuse me, Gag throwing down a second starport and getting cloaked, so Gag is going to commit pretty hard to some early Wraith play. Elena only has the one starport, and without cloak means that Elena's Wraiths are going to be not going to be able to do very much. Ooh, cloak hits before Elena could finish off that Wraith, and now Elena's going to be in retreat. Is going to lose the Wraith? Yes. Elena loses the Wraith. No detection right now. eBay under construction. No academy either. Ooh, that's rather bad. And the siege tank sieged up pretty close to the mines, but just out of range. So, 44 supply compared to 57 for Gag. Gag has a nice supply lead, in part to the larger Wraith count. Meanwhile, Elena now throwing down an armory, which is definitely going to be necessary. Gotta have those Goliaths out to try to equalize the Wraith numbers. No. Nah, Gag's not going to quite run into the mines. Heads the other way. But it does mean that Gag's moving out with quite a strong army. That's 5 Wraiths and 5 tanks to try to attack Elena now. Elena only has 4 tanks. Oh. Siege mode's not even done for those tanks. This could be quite bad for Elena. There's a couple Wraiths to try to help out, but it's not going to be enough. Gag's going to set up a really strong contain right here across a small choke. And, oh, draws out the Goliath fire. Or, not the Goliath fire, but just draws out the Goliath. Unfortunate. Elena's going to try to move in with a single Wraith. Going to be easily picked off by Gags. Ugh. Not looking good. This is not looking good. This is looking quite bad. Nah, this is bad. Well, turret's down, and the Wraith is down, so now there's nothing preventing Gag from just moving with his Wraiths. There's even enough to really attack the Goliath, and there we go. GG. Gag taking game 1 of the best of 5. Alright. Game number 2. I am going to reopen my window because I live in a hot place. And keeping that window closed makes this room very hot. So, Gag, for the 3rd game in the row, is going to be the Teal Terran. And once again, going to be the Teal Terran in the top position on ground 0. Kind of funny. And Elena, going to be the Red Terran at the bottom right position. Excuse me. So, TVT. Last time, in all these games, Gag's been really favoring Wraiths, which is quite popular nowadays in TVT. A lot of Terrans really enjoying the mobility of it rather than the stagnant play of tanks. This map is a little bit harder to do because this map is really brutal for air units, in that if it's caught out in the middle of the map, you're just going to accept a lot of losses. The Wraiths are able to run away pretty effectively, but it's nicer when you have cliffs in the middle. So, Elena gonna play more of a standard game this time around. Not gonna go with the forward racks. The forward racks might only work on a 3-player map. Seems like it'd be a bit harder to do on excuse me. Seems like it'd be a bit harder to do on a 4-player map. But 1 rack's going down after the supply depot, and Gag. Looks like Gag once again is going to go for the 1 rack's FE. He hasn't thrown down his. Excuse me, he has not thrown down his assimilator. Refinery. Refinery is the word I was looking for. Oh, hey! Hey, I have chat now. Dude, I can totally ask my chat if they know what piñatas are. So, chat from countries that are not America. Does your country have piñatas in it? I am actually really curious. Elena with the slightly faster scout, going to scout wrong. Go. I don't know if Sale's being sarcastic, and Go Tongue's from a Latin country, so that doesn't really help me out. Okay, Sale's definitely being sarcastic. Okay. Okay. No piñatas, but of course people know what it is. That's not an of course for me. I really would not know whether other countries would know what a piñata is. Because it's like, I understand that a lot of countries are exposed to American culture, but it's not American culture. It's like culture that we've taken from other people. And I still don't know whether we took it from the Mexicans or from the Spanish. Anyway, Elena's hiding a starport. Gonna get that out really quickly. If Gag does go for a starport again, it's gonna be much slower because of the fast expansion. But Elena's gonna put on the early pressure once again. This time with 4 Marines, 1 Vulture. Oh, 2 Vultures. There's already 1 here. There's a bunker with 4 Marines in it though. That's gonna make it pretty difficult for Elena to do anything. Could go for a run by though. Could sneak Vultures down here, and then bring in the Marines after the Marines vacate the bunker. That might just work. Tank still has a ways to go. So, 2 SCVs being pulled preemptively to repair the bunker. It looks like Elena's not going to go for the run-by. Just going to wait a little bit. Wraith and an SCV on the way, along with a tank. The tank's really was what going to be the game changer. Siege mode almost done for Elena, almost done for Gag as well, so both players will have siege. And Gag did go for a Wraith once again, it's just the Wraith is going to be significantly slower and has no anti-air. Compared to Elena, who already has the Wraith out. So, how many kills is the Wraith going to be able to get? And even after the Wraith is out, in a Wraith vs. Wraith duel, Gag should be able to win. just because he'll bring an SCV to repair it. Ooh, and he brought 2 Marines to help out. Elena needs to be really careful as to where's the siege of the tank. Oh, Elena! Elena done goofed. Elena done goofed really badly. Lost the siege tank, and now there's no way that the bunker's gonna go down. Oh, Elena! Elena! Don't do that. Only 1 SCV kill so far with the Wraith. I don't know which one's gonna win. Tie. I don't know how that ended up being a tie. Because they were firing at alternates, but then, oh. Because then Elena moved. So Elena shot the last shot slower. Might have been able to pick up a couple extra SCVs. Anyway, Gag now up by 13 supply. This is looking a lot like a repeat from last game, where the bottom right player gets pretty aggressive against Teal, Gag, and tries to set up a contain, but the contain doesn't work out at all because a siege tank was placed on top of a bunker like this, and then Gag just moves out with a much bigger army and wins. Elena's command center only halfway done. So much slower than Gag's. Looks like Elena's done with Wraiths for now. And is getting an armory and an academy. So Goliath will be used to deal with the cloaked Wraiths. Now everybody's pulling back because we're realizing that there's no way to break Gag's front. So, Cloak being researched for Gag. Elena is going to have to use scans to deal with it because Elena did not get an eBay. And the Academy's just finishing now. There's going to be, there's 1 scan going down. I assume the scan's going to be thrown down here. 2, right? Right, there we go. So, 2 scanners to deal with a large pack of cloaked Wraiths. And Elena does not have the firepower to kill them all off in 1 shot. In fact, I don't see any anti-air right now. Oh no. That's Elena's first Goliath. Oh, Elena. Elena's gonna lose. I think that the Wraiths might be able to focus fire down the Goliath. Oh, and he's getting got killed. Now Elena has no anti-air. Gag should probably just attack with the Wraiths, but I don't think he realizes that Elena doesn't have any anti-air. And Gag's gonna do the same thing that his opponent last time did to him. Justice, that was his name. Put some tanks up on that cliff. Cloak Wraiths moving in. Going to... oh! Forces the waste of the scan. Very nice. So only 1 scan remaining. Soon to be 2. Meanwhile, tanks sieging up on the high ground and cloaked Wraiths moving in once again. Not exactly sure what they're trying to target down. Okay, they are going after Goliaths. The tanks die, but more importantly, all of the Goliaths have died as well. And now the Wraiths have free reign to attack whatever they want. Elena's still trying to produce Goliaths. There's only 1 out, though, now, compared to that many Wraiths. Is Gag gonna attack? No, Gag's not gonna attack it. So, 66 supply compared to 85 really has not changed in difference, but Gag has a crushing position and is now expanding to the 3rd. Is Elena going to go for a secret expansion as well? Unknown at this point. The dropship is out. Not exactly sure what Elena can do with the dropship. And oh, nice move by Elena, sieging the siege tanks up on the high ground. Gonna pick off 2 of Gag's siege tanks for free. That's nice. Starting to close the gap a little bit. But then Gag put siege tanks on this ridge. And Elena doesn't have anything that can deal with that. Going to load up these dropships with Goliaths, but there are wraiths there. There are a lot of wraiths there. Okay, not going to go in that direction. Going to go and attack these siege tanks to try to break out. Here come the wraiths from the other side. You need to drop. You need to drop. You need... No, that's not what you needed. Doesn't drop the tank. All the Goliaths die. Gag wins game 2. So, there are walkovers in AlfiO's group. I can't remember who now, but somebody was a walkover. Alright. Game number 3, Elena versus Gag. Gag only needs 1 more win to 5-0 his group and move on. Elena, yellow Terran at the bottom left. Gag is the white Terran in the top right. Okay. TVT on match point. Should be good. Should be good. I want to see somebody siege the natural from the low ground, because that's what Flash would do. Anyway, both players are going to be throwing down normally timed supply depots. Was kind of thinking Elena would do something a little bit funky again, just because playing against Gag doesn't seem to be working out very well. But nope, Elena seems to be playing normally so far. Well, looks like both players getting the fast gas. So far, so good. Kind of odd to see Gag put his barracks so far back when you can place it farther to the front. And when you put it here, you can use it to make walls a lot easier should it be necessary. But won't need to make walls for this game. So, I would expect both players to go for starports on this map, just because this map is really nice for wraiths. There's a lot of darting in and out of the main you can do. It's pretty hard for Goliaths to navigate around with so many, with so many ridges. Not to mention that Gag really likes wraiths anyway, and Elena likes wraiths a lot too, even in non-TVT matchups. I think Elena goes 2-port Wraith more than any other Terran player out there in TVZ. Elena's SCV gonna go down. Gag managed to get his SCV out of there. Looks like Elena's going to get aggressive once again with 4 Marines out and a Vulture. We'll see if Elena's able to do any real damage. Meanwhile, Gag has a similar composition, so Elena's probably not going to be able to do very much if Elena does push out. And nope, not yet. Both players now building their machine shops after 2 Vultures. And SCV down. So 4 Marines, 2 Vultures versus 4 Marines, single Vulture with a tank on the way. But the Marines and the Vulture have the high ground, so they should still be able to win, even if they are 1 Vulture short. Elena's pushing up, doing pretty well, but not quite enough. 1 Vulture, 1 Marine left over for Gag. Very similarly timed command centers. Gag's is slightly faster, and his siege tank is slightly faster just by virtue of, excuse me, not going for that second Vulture. Now Elena's already thrown down the second factory. Gag's a little bit later because Gag decided to go for a very fast armory. Oh, never mind. Okay, it seems we've equalized in our timings for stuff. Elena's now constructing 2 Goliaths. That's a little bit a little bit guessing, because he hasn't scouted Gag's base, and I bet is just assuming that Gag went for Wraiths. But Gag has not gone for Wraiths and is building more Vultures now. Looks like Gag's going to be playing more of a Vulture game this time around. There are a lot of good places to put mines on this map, so I would very much so like to see Gag try to get out there and use the good Vulture army, do some SCV harassment. Okay. When you look at a barracks, it has like it has 6 little feet, right? You can see 4 of them here, and they kind of lift up when you lift off the barracks. And then when they put the barracks down, the feet come back underneath. Why is it necessary to lift the feet up? Why can't the feet just always be underneath? Why do they need to, like, does it need to lift up so that it can clear whatever debris? Otherwise, would, like, the feet get entangled on cliffs? I never understood that about the barracks. Anyway, Gag went for a lot of Vultures, so his supply is quite a bit higher than Elena's, but a lot more fragile. Because the Vultures can't do too terribly much against the large Goliaths and the large siege tanks. But cliffs on the top of ramps are pretty good. Elena scanning it. Not going to take any mine damage. Good stuff. So, 5th factory for Elena. Compared to Gag, who's only on 2. A little bit surprising. Threw down, excuse me, threw down the extra command center here. But Elena's been a lot more focused. Oh no. Oh, Elena. Stop walking into mines. Stop walking into mines. God damn it. That's why vultures are good, man. You should build more of them. Elena's starting to catch up now that Elena has a lot of factories down and is just going to produce a lot of vultures. Elena trying to lay some mines down, but doesn't quite get them there in time to be able to hit Gag's units. And this is a pretty scary looking army for Gag with that many siege tanks. Siege mode's done. Elena's going to siege up on the low ground, but there's just not enough stuff here. I think that Gag can A-move down and win that engagement. He might not want to because it'll cost him a good amount. And taking that high ground pod is very nice in this matchup. Vultures sneaking out for Elena. They can shut down this expansion if they go that way. They might be able to sneak in over here. We'll have to see where he decides to go. Needs to run away from the tanks. Oh, tanks get hit by mines. Nice. And Elena's going to go down to this base. Certainly going to be able to take out the SCVs mining gas. There we go. And Vulture's being rallied down for Gag, but it's going to be 5-on-5 if he does send them down. And a lot more Vultures out for Elena. Now Elena's going to be the one who's with the higher supply and Vulture count. And even enough Vultures to start bullying around tanks. Meanwhile, attacking more Vultures that are trying to lay mines. The tank and Goliath force was able to clear out the few Vultures attacking the command center, but now has to deal with this threat. Ooh, going to lay mines by the siege tanks. I don't think the tanks are going to be able to get away. No, they are not. Nice hits by Elena. Did lose a lot of Vultures, though, in that engagement. Still managed to take out 3 siege tanks, though, so that's nice. 91 supply compared to 90. And Elena laying down a lot of mines in here, making it pretty dangerous for Gag to come back. And is going to be able to kill off a lot of these Vultures coming in. Tanks and Vultures coming in to try to eventually repel this. A little bit of an SCV transfer. And are the tanks going to activate the mines? Oh. Nope. Yes, it is. Siege tank doesn't quite go down, though. Meanwhile, Elena starting to get a good tank count up and is able to move out. Still doing some stuff with Vultures. I really like the style of Terran that involves lots of Vultures out on the field, constantly trying to poke at the opponent. Well, this is a pretty strong force, but getting up that ramp is going to be difficult. Only 2 siege tanks on top. There is mines to deal with. I think it's going to... Elena can do it, but it's just going to cost Elena a lot to make it happen. Ooh, gets hit. Takes a couple of casualties in the initial. I think he's already lost 2 tanks and still hasn't managed to take out either of the 2 siege tanks that are doing all the damage. Lots of Vultures come in for Gag to try to lay mines, and are the mines going to go down? A couple of the mines get off, and Elena's entire attack force is going to die, and Gag didn't even lose those 2 siege tanks. That was a pretty bad attack from Elena. Elena now down by 50 supply. So this push from Gag, I don't know how Elena's going to be able to hold it off. Elena decided to take the mineral only instead of the gas, and the mineral only is a lot harder to defend. Elena just barely in time to get up onto the high ground. That's going to help out initially, but Gag can still come up on this side because Elena doesn't have enough stuff to span the entire high ground. Or Gag could just go for the shorter pass. Oh, this is why I like match point, man. There's so many possibilities. And Gad's gonna siege the lowest ground. He should put siege tanks here so that he can hit the command center, because that's what I wanted to see at the beginning of this game. I kind of wanted to see Elena do it because I like Elena a lot, but oh, he doesn't even need to put him all the way down here. He can already hit the command center. Oh, pfft. Siege tanks are so good. Elena's gonna lift off. It's 66 supply compared to 144. Gag's pretty good at TVT. So, with a lot of Elena's forces distracted, Gag can go from attack to clean up the forces at the third. Elena only on one mining base. GG. Gag 3-0ing his group. So Gag will be advancing into ISL. Another Terran. So, going back to the brackets. We've casted 6. We've casted 7. Okay. I'm being told leg 8 has no games? I'm trying to get confirmation on leg 8. I guess we're gonna go into leg 5 in the meantime. Which had one walkover in Bomja. So it's gonna be advisory versus infected. No, all walkovers. It was all walkovers? Wait, all 4 of them? Was there like one dude who got to the finals, or is just like nobody qualifies? Only Gotunk showed. Okay. Okay, Gotunk advanced. Congratulations to Gotunk. And that means Oxurg. Oxurg's eliminated from ISL. Which is quite the surprise. He joins the ranks of Miguel as the only 2 people eliminated from ISL. So, that means I've got one group left. We're going to see Infected versus Advisory, and then AlfiO. One level up, one level up. Leg number 5, Advisory versus Infected. A game by this name already exists. Oh no. So, final leg of the day. In the top position, we have Advisory. ISL3 dot advisory, and in the bottom position we have ISL3 infected, and advisory is red. So from what I've heard, advisory is like D+. So infected should take this pretty easily, you would think. Alright, we'll see. Alright. Infected's gonna go for a 9 pool, or overpool, excuse me. Gonna go for an overpool. Advisory scouts at first, so he should be able to get cannons down with more than enough time. Although he hasn't started his forge yet. It's gonna be a pretty late forge. And yeah, waiting up until 300 minerals to get it down. Spawning pool only has a little bit of ways to go. If he only throws down one cannon, he might be in trouble. Ah, thank you. God damn it. God damn it. I really gotta figure out a better way to do that. Maybe I'll have like the brackets and I'll put GIFs on it to make it like flashing, so that it's more obvious to me. I think I'm gonna do that for next week's qualifier. Put flashing stuff. I know, yeah, that I already have the stream window and I can see what I'm casting. But I didn't notice it, because I'm not looking at the streaming window, I'm looking at the StarCraft. That's why I need something flashing to alert my attention of it. I'll figure something out. Anyway, Ling's coming in, not quite. No, one hit away from taking out the photon cannon. Very close. And the next one's morphed, so Infected's not going to be able to win with early Lings. Anyway, Infected got his third hatchery up. And went for a closer third hatchery, so probably gonna go for some more aggressive stuff than normal. He could go standard. No, he's not gonna go standard. He's already throwing down the fourth hatchery before gas, so we're gonna have a pretty big Hydralisk push coming from him. I think that's a good idea for this map. This is a pretty hard map to wall on against Hydralisk busts, so I think that they're pretty good on this map. Not only that, but if you don't have a lot of early Hydralisks, then it's really hard to defend this space without those early units on the field. So I think that for Zerg, excuse me, I think for Zerg that going for Hydralisk bust on this map is particularly strong, or going the complete opposite end of the spectrum and doing Turtle Zerg is very strong. But I think Turtle Zerg is very strong on every 3-player map. Ooh. That's actually a 5th hatchery before gas? Is that even a build? Is that a thing? I don't know. I'm quite interested to see what he does with 5 hatcheries before gas. Well, Advisory has not thrown down many cannons yet. I don't think he's actually scouted that his opponent's going for this craziness. Meanwhile, Advisory did not go for Stargate, went for very fast Templar Archives, which is certainly going to help against the Hydralisk bust, where the Corsairs probably were not. A good number of Zerglings for Infected. Those are going to help after he takes out the Gateway and the Forge. You can just rush them in. Well, Advisory's speed timing really isn't going to be able to do very much. It's a pretty late +1. And once the Hydralisks are out, they're going to be in such high numbers that the Zealots just can't compete. Although, this base doesn't have any SimCity added at all. It doesn't even have a second hatchery there. So that one might be a little bit harder to defend against speed lots, but he should be fine. Double Hydralisk Den for Infected to get that range and speed as fast as possible. I'm kind of surprised he's not moving out yet, because honestly, if you're gonna get double Hydralisk Den, then you better be like attacking as soon as your upgrades finish, because otherwise there's really no point to do it. It's not as if those upgrades take a long time. Oh, they'll see a lot of the Hydralisks, so Advisory should know that something's wrong. Excuse me. Zealots try to harass the drone line. They don't get any of them. All going to be taken out. And losing that many early Zealots is quite a big deal to hold off against this Hydralisk bust. You would like to keep all those early Zealots alive, just to try to tank a lot of shots. There are 2 High Templars out already. Do they have Storm? I have to assume Storm is done. And here come the Hydralisks. Oh, so many Hydralisks. I think Protoss is dead. Pretty sure Protoss is boned right about now. Nice Storm. Infected's not going to dodge that at all. Oh, is he going to get stop +1? He is going to stop +1. Very nice. There is a Dark Templar already out, and Infected only has a couple Overlords, but because Advisory did not get Corsairs, he's not going to have a chance to snipe them. And he's not as if he's throwing one down now. Templar is getting very far out, and gonna be sniped. Not the best use of a Templar. Is Advisory really going to try that again? No, why are you moving out? Why is Infected moving back? Is he really not going to commit to the Hydra bust? He's really not going to commit to the My Hydra bust. He's getting Aspire. You really didn't think you could just kill him? Really? Just that. There's not a lot there. Alright. Well, is he... Yep, gonna go for a Mutalist transition. Really no point to get the Scourge when your opponent does not have any... excuse me. When your opponent does not have any Corsairs. Now this is a really interesting expansion for Advisory. Because normally Protoss takes this expansion, because your ball is normally in the middle of the map, and this one has a gas anyway, so it's better. But Advisory's going to take the farther away one with no gas. I think he's going to have a hard time defending it. But it might be hidden enough that Infected won't realize it's there. Anyway, attack coming in for Advisory. Infected's going to have a huge arc, which is going to be very nice. Storm's going down, doing a lot of damage though. Infected did not dodge very well. Still not dodging very well. But here come the Mutalisks to snipe the High Templar, and the remaining Hydralisks are easily going to be able to clean that up. This is why I was kind of surprised he didn't just go and kill him. Because even if he takes a couple storms, he still just has so many Hydralisks. Couple Dragoons losing their way in the middle of the map. And GG. Alright then. So, Infected wins game 1. Advisory versus Infected game number 2. Wait, isn't Bloody Ridge supposed to be the first map? I think I got them in the wrong order. That's fine. Whatever. It's cool. Top position we have Advisory as the blue Protoss. And Infected as the purple Zerg. And the map is Bloody Ridge. So it's another pretty good map to do the same kind of 5-hatch Hydra bust. Not quite as good as Tau Cross, but still a lot better than some other maps. Alright. So, Advisory's going to go for a really early scout. It might not have been necessary, but he's certainly going to see that his opponent has the overpool. And again, has enough time to respond accordingly. I don't know why, but this wall looks really weird. If he puts cannons here, then run-by is just going to be really easy. If he doesn't put cannons here, then the cannons are going to be really vulnerable. I guess if you put gateway here, then like cannons back here-ish. Assuming that that's tight. No, alright. Well, there goes one cannon. And there goes a second cannon. One to prevent the one run-by, one to be in a safer position. And Infected's first 6 slings are on the way. They're not going to be able to get there before the cannons spawn. Oh. Advisory thought he was in a good position to block the hatch, but he was not. And Infected has his Overlord there already, so he's not even going to bother to send the Lings, just all going to try to attack the probe. Okay, he put the gateway here. So that's not tight, and that's not tight. I think one day I'm just gonna get so sick of not knowing how walls are supposed to look that I'm just gonna start plastering pictures of correct walls all around my room. And then I can just like look over there and see what the wall's supposed to look like and then look back and go, hey, that's not right. I take a lot of ink though. And I'm cheap, so I don't want to spend that much money on printer ink. Advisory throwing down a third cannon. That's unnecessary. And Infected has 4 hatches before gas. Will he once again go for 5 hatches? He might. He will. So, once again, we're gonna have 5 hatches before gas. Or, not exactly once again, because these were in the wrong order. So, for the first time, we're gonna have 5 hatches before gas. And maybe Advisory did better against it in the past. He doesn't have enough gas. I don't know why he has so little gas after getting the core up, because you're supposed to have like 200 gas after the core finishes. Then you throw down the Stargate immediately. But he built a goon and then a gateway. Well, looks like he's not going to go for the Stargate. I'm just going to go for those fast Templar once again. Although he's going to do it with not enough gas. I almost want to say he like only had 2 guys mining gas, because that would seem to like indicate how much gas he has right now. 1 Hydraulic Extend for Infected. Did he go double Hydraulic Extend again? No, it appears to be only the single one. And 2 Zealots out for Advisory, but they're going to be surrounded and killed off. 1 down, and the other one trying to get away? Trying to back himself into a corner? Oops. Might have been able to save one of those lings if they had just all been attacking. So Advisory does get a Stargate this game, actually. It's just after the Citadel so that he can have faster speed. But because the Citadel was delayed to begin with because he didn't have enough gas, it's like normal speed and just a really late Stargate. Alright. Well, Infected's first Hydralisks are moving out. Speed is done. Range. Range is not done. I don't think. But Advisor only has a few cannons. His Archives is nowhere near as fast as it was last time, and its attack is coming sooner. So Storm is 40% done. And Advisory is pretty screwed. Doesn't have enough cannons. Infector's not even going to play it slowly and take out the gateway and the forge first. He's just going to go and kill it. Because he can. Hydralisk bust. GG from advisory. Infected. Taking it 2-0. Moving on to play AlfiO. So, round of 16, AlfiO versus Infected, game number 1. I know this is Infected's first try for ISL. I believe it is also AlfiO's. Alright. So, top right position, we have ISL 3 with a dot, AlfiO. He played earlier today and won 2-0 versus Terror during IC Cup Clan League. And is green. Infected is the yellow Zerg. Apparently there was a sad rule. I do not know what that is in reference to. Unless it was like the person that no one banned. Because apparently no one banned somebody from ISL for being Super BM. But it was all in chat room. So I do not know what was said. Alright. Anyway, Infected's going to go for an overpull once again. And I see no reason that he should change his build from going with the... excuse me. No reason he should change his build from the 5-hatch Hydra. It seemed to work out pretty well. But I'm excited to see somebody who's a little bit better than D+ try to defend it. That's not how you wall in this map. Like, that's not tight. And wherever you put the gateway over here, then that will not be tight, and that will not be tight. I don't know if that's tight. That's not a very good wall. Alright. So, Infected's first few lings are out. We're going to be able to chase away the probe and not much else. Actually, AlfiO only has 1 cannon and it's so vulnerable that 6 lings could actually pose a threat to it. Now, Infected doesn't have an Overlord in the correct position yet to see that he might be able to attack it, but you can certainly get one over there. Okay. So you're going to throw down the gateway here, so there is a lot of holes. And now Infected's coming in to attack the cannon. He's going to be able to get one of them down and gets 3 lings in after taking out that cannon. AlfiO cancels the pylon that was warping in there. Now, 3 lings in the base. How much damage is Infected going to do? AlfiO pulled a lot of probes initially, and then the Lings just ran around them. Alright, well, a couple probes going down already. But one Ling has fallen. Become significantly harder to get Lings, get probes with only 2 Lings, and then almost impossible with only 1. Oh, nice, nice probe micro by AlfiO, immediately turning around to snipe one of the Lings. And then with only 1 left, those 2 probes are just going to hunt it down. So, AlfiO will be going for the 5-hatch build once again. Probe for AlfiO does scout it, though. Because Infected used those early Lings to attack. Looks like he managed to get 1 more kill. And AlfiO's going to send his first Zealot to just attack Infected, seeing that there's no defenses here. Might be able to pick up a couple. 1 drone down, 2 drones down. Zealot still has about 50 health left. Nope, not going to quite get that Ling. So, AlfiO definitely knows that it's coming. He has a lot of time to prepare a defense against the 5-hatch. And he's gonna go Stargate, though. I only like Stargate if he's planning on going for DTs to try to chase it away. But otherwise, the Corsair is really just not going to help in this situation. Infector's gonna have a lot of Hydralisks out on the field. Enough to cover the Overlords. And enough to bust the front if you don't have proper Templar tech. Well, Infected going back to the style of double Hydralisk Den. So that he can get his range and his speed. He did have to build a lot more Lings this game, so it's a little bit slower than it was in the first 2. But AlfiO went for that Stargate, which is really going to slow down his Templar tech. Templar Archive's only halfway done now. The first Corsair out, going to be able to pick off one of the Overlords. Infected hasn't quite got his Hydralisks out yet, and now he does. So the Corsair shouldn't be able to get another one. Alright. AlfiO's still going to try to be annoying, though, with the Corsair, as Infected chases it off. Now Infected really is starting to get that very nice Hydralisk number that AlfiO should start to feel a little bit afraid. Their upgrades are done now, and all the Hydralisks have moved out, so this Corsair might actually be able to get 1 more. It's going to supply block Infected. No, not quite. Going to be able to pick that out. And AlfiO does get a fast DT. Oh, does Infected really not have an Overlord? Infected really does not have an Overlord. He needs to go for the attack now and just hope that the DT isn't able to do much damage. Probe is being pulled from AlfiO, and Infected's attack has just stopped. DTs, man. Alright. Well, Infect is going to give up on the Hydralisk Bust. Throwing down the double evolution chamber and the Spire once again. That's what he did last time on Tau Cross after the Hydra Bust didn't quite work out. And it looks like AlfiO is going to try to sneak an expansion down here? Or is he going to proxy tech? I think he's going to proxy tech, because this is a really weird place to put cannons. Or not. No, he is just going to build cannons here. I guess AlfiO really just does not like the fact that the other expansions on this map are so open. And he isn't going to be able to wall them off with cannons. Huh. Interesting. It's really weird. So, AlfiO's going to move out now with a pretty good composition. How many storms does he have? 2, 1, 2. So 5 storms. And Infected does not have a whole lot. He has a good number of Hydralisks, but he isn't spreading them out far enough and hasn't been dodging well enough for me to think that those storms aren't just going to melt them all. But we shall see. Templar's starting to move towards the front. Oh, one of them gets sniped. And there's the nice storm getting off, hitting a lot of Hydralisks. Coming in again, and oh, very, very nice storm. Very nice storm. So many Hydralisks are going to melt. And it looks like AlfiO is just going to pull back. Doesn't want to continue with the engagement. He might be out of storms, and he only had one more. AlfiO extends his lead by a little bit. So, coming back with a new army now, much larger army, a much more goon-heavy army. It's interesting to see that he's going for such a heavy goon army this early in the game. This is such a weird configuration of stuff. Anyway, coming back up, should be able to take this pretty easily. Infected wanted to go for the Mutalisk transition again, but there are so many goons here that the Mutalisks aren't going to be able to do very much. They should try to snipe the Templar. Oh, such good storms. Infected really just ignoring the fact that he can try to spread out his Hydralisks or dodge or do something. Anything. But he might just have enough Hydralisks to overwhelm. Kind of surprisingly. I thought that AlfiO was going to be able to crush that, but no. Infected just had so many Hydralisks that even with those nice storms, AlfiO is still going to lose his army. A couple more speed lots coming in. They not quite going to be able to save the Archon, but should be able to kill off at least these Hydralisks until reinforcements come. Yeah, so they're going to be cleaned up. AlfiO now with about double the supply. I don't think Infected realizes that there's this hidden base here with its funky triangle of pylon cannon spread out. I don't understand this. I really would like to know the logic behind this. This formation. Dark Temper tried to sneak in. Only managed to get a Hydralisk. Infected really does not have a whole lot here. +2 speed lots compared to the 1/1 of the Hydralisks. Is he still getting upgrades for them? No, he's not. He's just going to be on 1/1 for a while. And again, very nice storms. Storm on the Mutalisks, and he actually does a lot of damage to the Mutalisk. He didn't pull them out until the very end. Lost a couple. And the Corsair should be enough to clean up the remaining ones. So the Mutalisks are all going to go down. Will the Hydralisks fall as well? 1 Templar, not enough energy for a storm. No, it looks like Infected will once again just barely hold on to this base. But it's costing him half of his supply every time. Now down to 50. AlfiO at 131. AlfiO getting up to a 4th base now. Oh. But he has an Overlord in this position, so he at least scouts that there are cannons going up here. I don't think he realizes that there's this behind it. But now with his Hydralisk out of position and his low supply count, he has 57 supply, all of his Hydralisks are down there. So his 3rd is certainly going to fall. He is at least able to kill this, but I don't think that's going to be worth the trade. So, AlfiO coming in to attack Infected's base. Infected doesn't have enough stuff to initially win it. There's a control group and a half of Hydralisks coming back up. Not in time to save the 3rd. Is at least going to be in time to save the natural? I guess it will be in time to save the natural, just barely. He's going to run into that Templar, though. The Templar's going to storm right there. Oh, he actually storm dodged a little bit. So that's nice. GG from Infected. AlfiO takes game 1 of the best of 5. Alright, so game number 2 of AlfiO versus Infected on ground 0. You know, man, I'm really glad that AlfiO has a supply lead as Protoss, and then he just keeps attacking. As opposed to yesterday, where you get a supply lead as Protoss and then do nothing. Literally nothing. Whoops, mix those up. AlfiO is green, and Infected is white. There we go. Alright. So, things went pretty well for AlfiO last game. He held off the initial Hydralisks and then just stormed and won. Infected did not look as good. It seems like he should have been able to do a lot more with the units he had, but he just kind of defended with them, and he didn't defend very well with them, losing a lot every time. Oh, neither player going to scout in the correct direction. Should be finding each other last. Alright. And Infected... Ooh. No, Infected went for an overpull. Never mind. I was going to say he mixed it up, but no, that's the 4th overpull in a row. Now, is AlfiO really going to mess up the wall again? Put gateway on top, but then that cannon's exposed, and if he puts the gateway on bottom, then that's not tight. Well, we'll see. First 6 slings are out. In fact, it might be able to do some more damage than he did last game with them. Well, excuse me, a bunch of probes being pulled to block. I think AlfiO realized that his wall is a little bit deficient as well, and he's going to send the probe in the wrong direction to try to delay the lings a little bit. Infected now sends him, excuse me, in the correct direction, but I don't think they're going to be able to do anything because that second cannon's almost up. And the gateway going down now. I really don't think that this is tight on top. And then this is really big gap. So, looks like Infected is going to do the same thing. Yep. 4th hatch going down, and then the 5th hatch after that. This map is a lot easier to wall off for AlfiO, and then has a lot of space to put cannons behind. So I think of maps, this is one of the worst ones for Hydra busting, or at least lots of early Hydras. Although with this base here, he'll be able to put a very nice SimCity to guard it, so he won't have to constantly worry about AlfiO attacks. Or at least when AlfiO does constantly attack, he'll have a better shot of holding it off. The one thing I'm not sure of is why every game Infected puts 3 hatcheries in his natural instead of putting 1 here. So if he put 1 at his 3rd, he could already start a SimCity rather than have to work with a lot of smaller buildings to make it if that's the direction he's going to go. But instead he puts 3 in the natural. And nope, this time he's not going to go for the double Hydralisk Den, just the 1. I wonder if that is I wonder if it just is for Tau Cross, because this is the second game he hasn't done it, both not on Tau Cross, and the 2 he did do it were on Tau Cross. Might be a Tau Cross specific map. So, AlfiO throwing down 2 gateways now after the archives. So AlfiO is going to skip the Stargate, which I think is the correct move. And he's going to have nice, fast storms. Ooh, he's actually going to get a Dark Templar too. Infected does have some Overlords around. And with no anti-air, AlfiO probably isn't going to be able to get rid of them, but So, Hydra's coming out for infected. Excuse me. This DT should... Will it be spotted? I guess it won't be spotted. It's going to go around the left side and head up towards this expansion. There's an Overlord and a Hydralisk there, so it should be fine. Although if there's only one Hydralisk... Excuse me. It might not have been enough to kill the DT. But with proper... excuse me. With proper drone control, it would have been enough. DT gonna be picked off immediately. And Infected should take it nice and slow just to take out the Gateway and the Forge. Oh, there's some High Templar here. Neither of them have enough energy for Storm. Storm still needs a little bit of time anyway. So Infected has a little bit of a window before Storm finishes to do as much damage as possible. And it looks like Infected is not going to take it slow. He's just going to move in for the attack. Now, AlfiO moving the High Templars a little bit too far forward, but the cannons do go down. A lot of the probes are dying, and he's continuing to march forward. The Hydralisks are spread out enough that the Storm doesn't do a whole lot, and Infected even dodged it to some extent. And now he can continue to attack. He's done good damage so far. He should have one more Storm. Yeah, there's one more Storm for AlfiO that might stop this. Yeah, that's going to stop it pretty well. And Infected's not rallying in any more units. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't want to continue with it, the aggression, because it was working out pretty well for him. Now, here's the next round of Hydralisks. A little bit late. It looks like there was a DT, and it picked off an evolution chamber. It couldn't have been a Spire because the lair isn't done yet. And the saturation's still okay, so the DT didn't do very much. So, Infector's going to back off for now. There are enough cannons up and enough storms that it would be kind of hard to continue to press on. Is that only plus... No, that's plus 2. Now, Infected should have enough stuff to defend against the counterattack from AlfiO. He should have enough stuff. I'm kind of surprised that Infected doesn't follow up with Lurkers ever. It's always a it's always a Mutalisk follow-up. Which is a little bit odd. Some good storm dodging at first, although that last storm did some good damage. And a lot of these Hydralisks are going down. But eventually Infected is going to be able to push this back once again. Just with overwhelming Hydralisk numbers. And very reminiscent to the Tau Cross game. But AlfiO with the supply advantage. Now, a couple Zealots here, going to be picked up for free. Almost for free. This is a Hydralisk. Well, Infected might actually have a chance to play a little bit later into the game this time around. He's throwing down a 6th hatchery, starting to get Ling upgrades, in fact, and now is going for Lurkers. Okay, I like that a lot more than the Mutalisks, so the Mutalisks were really not working out for him. And AlfiO does not have a hidden expansion this time around. Is up by 20 supply, but that is a lot of lurkers to have to contend with. And Infect is going to use them very defensively. He's just content to turtle on only 3 bases. I think he could afford to be a little bit more aggressive here. And fanning out some Overlords. I wonder if he realized there was a hidden expansion last game and that's why he's sending out the Overlords now. Anyway, lurker field down. AlfiO does not have an observer, so really no point of him engaging that. He might be able to storm some things, but there's the observatory. AlfiO now expanding to this 3rd base. He's actually starting to run quite low with the minerals. The main's almost gone. The natural has only a 3rd left. So he's going to need to take a 4th pretty soon. Although on this map there are a lot of expansions. You can take one up here. Nice and easy. So, AlfiO going for attack number 2. It's... Again, he really should have a lot of trouble dealing with the lurkers. There is a single observer in there, but definitely there's a threat of it being sniped. There's so many Hydralisks out and a good number of Overlords to try to see it. Storm going down. Oh! Very nice storms going down, hitting so many of the Hydralisks. The double storm there, but still managing to get a lot of kills. So much red blood. Hydralisk coming from the back, but only managed to get a single Dragoon. And now it's just Dragoons, but there are so many of them that they might be able to A-move their way through. Still trying to push forward. The lurkers... is there not an observer anymore? No, it would appear that AlfiO lost his observer, so he just has Dragoons left. Hydra's coming up, not doing a terribly good job against the 2 attack of the Dragoons. And picking off some Overlords as well. And once again, AlfiO has double supply. Both AlfiO and Infected have expanded to the to these 3rds. But once AlfiO gets a nice composition again, brings a couple observers, should be absolutely fine. Alright. Alright. Next wave of AlfiO. And Infected has nowhere near as much as he did last time. AlfiO only has 1 storm, though, which is a little bit worrying. But he really doesn't need it. He just has so many Dragoons. So many Dragoons. And Infected doesn't have Swarm. Storm going down on the only Hydralisks. Couple more coming up, but gonna be taken out as well. Yeah, AlfiO got this. AlfiO's really got this. Oh, he did have a Defiler mount. Just hadn't quite gotten out any Defilers yet. Yeah, Infected's dead. Like, really dead. Like, really dead. Yeah, there we go. GG. AlfiO. 1 game away. So, AlfiO only needs one more game to qualify. Infected needs to turn it around. I somehow don't see that happening. The 5-hatch really is not working for Infected, and he doesn't seem like he wants to switch up the build at all. Anyway, AlfiO, purple Protoss at the bottom, Infected, teal Protoss at the top. Well, let's see it, man. I want to see Infected do something different, like anything else, because he executed his gameplay like exactly how he wanted to in the first 2 games, and did nothing. Absolutely nothing. I'd really like to see him not go overpool, as an indication that he's going to do something different. Well, there's the Overlord. And AlfiO's got the pylon at the front. But again, he put the pylon in a really weird place, and now he can't walk correctly. And Infected went for an overpull. Seriously though, what's your wall gonna look like with the pylon here? Is the pylon going to be in front of the wall? You gonna put like Forge Gateway? Okay, the pylon is going to be in front of the wall. Forge here, Gateway here. Not tight, not tight. I don't even think that's tight. I don't know about that. So, never mind. I was gonna say, in fact, it changed something, because he only made 1 set of lings, but then he made a 2nd set of lings, and then he made a 3rd set of lings, and then everything was the same. He did expand to a 3rd first. That's a little bit different, but not different enough for me to think that he's going to do a not 5-hatch Hydra build. Okay, well that's a little bit different at least. Infected made 8 lings instead of just 6. Every other game he had just built 6. Is he going to be able to challenge this wall though? There is only 1 cannon. He's got 8 lings. Neither this nor this is tight. Maybe Infected will be able to do something with the early lings. Well, let's see. We'll see what he's got. That cannon's going to be the ticking time. As soon as that one finishes, there's nothing he can do with the lings. But before it finishes, he might be able to get something. Or not. He's just going to sit there. And he throws down the hatchery at his 3rd instead. So, is he at least mixing it up a little bit? Not very much, but it's slightly different. Well, nope, there goes down the 5th hatchery. So, yeah. Yeah. This wall is actually it's gonna be, I would say it's pretty good versus Hydralisks. But then you remember how Infected uses his Hydralisks. He doesn't sit back and then range 2 buildings and then start to move forward with the Hydralisks. He just attacks with them. And if you're considering that he's just going to attack, this is not such a good wall, because it's still pretty porous. And it's just the length of the pylon blocking. Well, there's a Hydralisk den. Is it going to be 1 Hydralisk den, or is it going to be 2 Hydralisk dens? 1 Hydralisk den or 2 Hydralisk den? You know what? I'm going to throw it out there. This looks nothing like a den. Like a den is a pit or a cave that, like, somebody could crawl into. But this is not a den or a cave. This is, I don't know what it is, but it's not a den. I don't think that this should be called a den. Like, this is a pool. You can see the water, and there are, like, sections of it. I can totally see how that's a pool. This is a den? I don't think so. The Ultralisk Cavern, that looks like a cavern. Defiler Mound looks like a mound. Spire looks like a spire. Queen's Nest looks like a nest. Am I forgetting one? Greater Spire, but that doesn't count. Evolution Chamber looks like it could have chambers. But no, the Hydralisk Den, they misnamed. They should call it the Hydralisk Trunk, because this totally looks like an elephant trunk. And then these are like the tusks of the elephant sticking out. Then the headdress of the elephant. Okay, it doesn't work completely. So, AlfiO has a lot of speed lots. And still going without the Stargate build. His Storm still needs a while before it finishes. But Infected doesn't have enough Hydralisks to deal with that many speed lots. He was not expecting speed lots that fast. Ah, I forgot about the Nidus. Okay, that doesn't exactly look like a canal, but it could be like a canal connecting the two. You can't see that. So I'm willing to give that one a pass. So, somehow Infected managed to go 5-hatch Hydralisk and needs to play it really defensively because AlfiO just attacked. Infected shouldn't die here, but he shouldn't be playing it defensively. He should be attacking with his 5 hatcheries. Oh, Infected might actually have enough Hydralisks now that AlfiO needs to retreat. So that's good. Storm is finished. And all those Templar have at least 1 Storm. So AlfiO is not going to be able to do anything with his first attack. But at the same time, his first attack completely stopped Infected's first attack. It would appear that 2 Zealots got lost. No, we're not going to quite get that Zealot. Ooh. I missed the other Hydralisk Den. Okay, Infected did go for double Hydralisk Den. So I guess it isn't just a Tau Cross thing. Don't know what rhyme or reason determines whether he goes for double or not, but whatever. Maybe it's just old maps? Because Tau Cross and Match Point are both older than Bloody Ridge and Ground Zero. But I'm pretty sure that's just a coincidence. Anyway, AlfiO has a lot of guys. And Infected's just going to die because he can't storm dodge. Pretty sure. Pretty sure. Love to see. I mean, AlfiO likes his goons, and goons aren't very good versus Hydralisks and Zerglings and Mutalisks, but there's enough of them. Ooh. He's actually going to be able to snipe the High Templar, and he storms the last one. So AlfiO's going to go into this fight without High Templar and going to attack up a hill. Pretty much worst case possible, although the Mutalisks did take a lot of damage from that one storm. But no, Infected's going to be able to push that back pretty easily. Storm going down, though, killing off a lot of the Mutalisks and a lot of the Hydralisks because he didn't storm dodge. But he still managed to win the engagement. So it's like every other game where he manages to win the engagement despite losing a lot of Hydralisks, and AlfiO has some goons left over. Then he's going to link it up with more goons, then the more goons will attack, and then he'll get pushed back, and then he'll come with more goons with Storm, and then win. Double Evo Chamber for Infected. You lost Coon? I don't know. I don't know what he's talking about. Did Infected have a pet raccoon that ran away? Maybe like a cocoon? A shorthand for cocoon? I don't know. But hey, look, Storm's killed a lot of shit. And then AlfiO killed stuff with Dragoons. And... okay. So I guess I said AlfiO would attack with goons, then retreat, and then win. But he's just going to attack with goons and win. It's, once again, double supply. Not quite. Up by 50. And the Dragoons are once again not attacking, or attacking from the bottom of the hill, so they're missing a lot on these attacks. He's still going to be able to win out? No, I think Infected has enough stuff. No, not quite. He managed to take out a lot of the Dragoons, but not all of them. Still about 10 left with an Archon. Infected has expanded to take a fourth. And AlfiO has taken a fourth as well. Although I don't think he's going to be able to defend that fourth. It's not really in a good location for defending. And is Infected going to be able to win this? No. No, it doesn't look like it. Doesn't look like it. The goons are going to be able to start attacking the hatcheries. And GG from Infected. AlfiO takes game 3. So, that's all the games I have to cast today. AlfiO advances, Gotunk advances, Gag advances, and Modesty advances. So, that is 2 Protosses, 1 Zerg, 1 Terran. Pretty even. Pretty even. Alright. Shout out to the sponsors. Altitude, Sale with his viewers, Gorm Jahalen, Prowler, the others. The others, I'm tired. Alright. Elmaster will cast the rest of the sets, or at least some of the rest of the sets tomorrow. I will be casting Gambit Cup tomorrow. Thank you all for watching. Bye.